Oh man, here we go.
The doctor.
I'm entirely down with pee
break.
break bets.
Pee break bets.
And any
break
tips
bet.
on horses? I finally actually won some money on horses today. It was great.
Nice.
I'll take any tips you guys got on horses. Any tips at all.
Wait,
I'm paging Dr. Turner.
Hi, hey, Ethan.
Hey, what's
guy?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
You sound great.
As a matter of fact,
That's
I
beautiful.
accidentally pressed the live button just to make sure that pre-show sound was the same as live sound. Turns out it is.
That's good.
It's great. It's great news, man.
This is
So
what we want. This is what we want.
so we're here. It's live. I want to know about your last 30 minutes. Can you tell me about it, Ethan? Tell us about it.
Why do you ask? Is it because I was late? Am I late to the show?
No,
Did I
you
push
can't be
the
late
whole
to the
show?
show. That's that.
Did
that
I
is
push the
the
whole show back 30 minutes? Because I swear to God, I thought it started at 9. I was like meandering around my house, like I got time. I'm like grabbing beers, telling my wife I love her. Like,
How many times did you tell her that you love her?
enough. Let's put it that. Yeah, I thought I was doing great, and then all of a sudden, I guess maybe the show was supposed to start. I don't know. I didn't realize that it was supposed to start.
Hey, man, look, this is the open bar. The next
I
to
thought
the
the open bar
definition
started
of
at
the
9.
open bar, it is
Did I make
ish.
that up?
No. What I'm saying is you're perfect. You showed up at the exact right time because when you show up, that was the correct time. It doesn't matter that the time was a said time. It's just the fact that you showed up.
Gabe, just give it to me straight. Did I just push everyone's night back an extra 30 minutes on top of the 3 hours? Just freaking be honest with me. Because you sent me the thing right at 8:30. So I was like, man, obviously he's getting it out there. So we got a little bit of time letting us know it's coming.
I
was
say,
like, good to go. Now I
will
feel
say, no. I will say I was a little afraid about tonight. So I kind of like not really like that much of a care in the world, but kind of like, okay, I'll get it out there a little bit earlier. So maybe we can be before the ish that usually occurs on this show. But no, we just we made it entirely worse for all of us. Tomorrow's gonna
start it at 9.
Yeah. So my day tomorrow is going to suck. I'm on the East Coast.
It's going to be incredible.
Well, I live in the middle of nowhere, so this was 9 o'clock. I'm good to go. I'm ready.
All right. Well, if you can't tell already, it's the open bar, gosh darn it, and your boys are live. It's not a requirement for the boys, but it just so happens that we have 6 of them tonight. A good old-fashioned 6-pack. Most definitely talking about beers. Not abdomen. Well, I guess we have McGriff on, so we might be talking abdomen tonight. How the 80 push-ups going, my guy? How they going?
A lot of them at home, not at the gym. This is really frustrating and depressing on one hand, but we're still doing them. We got to do them more now. So I guess we got to start pumping out some ADP content with the giraffe rolling around. It's a perfect time.
It is.
I got work to do.
I was looking back at old shows, and I was actually trying to figure out when that started. I don't know still, but maybe we can find out by the end of this show. we have the time. We could just start looking through old podcasts like, oh, what did we talk about 3 months ago?
Time capsule.
Yeah.
Well, you guys send all these to the Library of Congress, right? So
nice. Yes, we do. Oh my gosh. What's that dude's name? I didn't even know that was a news network. I don't know who that guy is. Okay, whatever. Not the show. Not the show for this. Anyway, J Mike, what's up, dude? Hey, howdy. Love you, man. How are you?
Love you, bro. Good to be here. Good to be in the presence of these fine guests, and I venture to even call them legendary at this point. Obviously, the exploits that they have outside of the open bar are far beyond measure. Between McGriff wrestling a bear to its demise and becoming a skull in his house, to Berg's three-time Emmy-winning self, to Ethan no longer being an actual in study doctor, but an actual doctor. Like, I'm not screwing around anymore, doctor.
Real life doctor.
Real life doctor, yes. And Harvin basically becoming Meatloaf Wildcat, not just in name, but also in form. I mean, my man is grinding at the crib. So obviously they have all of their fantastic things they've been doing outside of this podcast, but everybody who's checking us out live, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, you are getting a treat this evening here on the Open Bar. One of the things that we're doing, and you didn't know this when you came in to check us out this evening, this group has been plotting to take down the record of the longest open bar appearance, the longest episode in show's history. So I get it. Many of you probably not really willing to sacrifice tonight to be able to say, "Oh, this random Tuesday before the draft? Like, what do you mean you want me to stay up with you guys for this long?" Just want to let you know, if you need a drink, if you need to rest, if you need to take a nap, if you got to put kids to bed, if you got to get some popcorn ready, if you've got to be able to get ready to play some games, whatever you want to do, you can settle in with your boys from the open bar this evening, because we're going to be here for a while. As I pointed out to these gentlemen several days ago, when Brian Haar, actually this goes back even further. Let's go on a trip a little bit. Let's go back about 6 to 8 months. Brian Haar, Ethan Turner, they're in the chat. Litty City. They're running things and life is good. And they said, you know what we're going to do? The next time that we come back on this podcast, we are going to shoot for the record for the longest podcast in open bar history. And I said, you guys are crazy. And literally they were like the last two people in the chat, and they were living it up and like hooting and hollering. And literally it was like they were in the room with us, but they weren't actually on the pod. And they said that they were going to do this. And I was like, you guys are silly, whatever. And so time continued, goes on, and Har is like, no, I am dead serious. This is a thing. We are shooting for this record. I'm like, okay, dude, I understand. You're a little jealous because your podcast co-host Russ has the official record. You had a chance to beat him 2 weeks later with Ethan in tow. You came up 1 minute short. I get it. You're sour. It happened in 2018. Let the past be the past. It's okay. He's like, nah, bro. The standard is the standard. And this evening, the record shall be broken. So just for everyone to know, again, do whatever you got to do. If you got to leave and come back, I get it. But you don't want to miss history. You don't want to miss one of, if not the greatest iteration of the open bar in show's history. So if you're here now with us, thank you. If you're listening in podcast form, we appreciate you. Come on in next week. See what happens next week. I know that they're not even going to be ready for what's happening tonight. It's too magnificent. So just recognize we're going for the record. It's a huge deal. I believe the record, what I say, was 2 hours and 48 minutes. Was that the official record currently?
I think it was 2:46 and 40 some seconds. And
Okay.
we were at, or it's 2:47 and 40 some seconds, and we were at 2:46 the last time around.
Oh,
right.
man.
Here we go. So
I'm just gonna. It's a good thing there's 6 legs on this on this journey. Someone is not reaching that record on this. Go on record right now.
David's like, I will see you guys next week. I will see you next week when this show
I was
ends.
like, like an hour and a half, plus, and 2:48. Yeah, nah, I'm not going Godfather like 2. Like,
David's like,
I
y'all
was-
crazy.
I was thinking, man, we watched The Irishman last night. It's like, y'all just need to press play. I hope you press play on that 10 minutes ago, because that's about, you could finish both in the same time frame. Like, my goodness, what a trip. So this has been planned for 6 to 8 months. You said, J Mike, and you said they're in the chat or something of the like, whatever that is.
Gabe's not even in the chats for the show. In case anyone's wondering, he had no idea that this was the plan.
Yeah, right. That's true. He was just thrown in. All right. So, but what's the training regimen kind of look like for something like this? You said 6 to 8 months out. I mean, what? Just
I'll show you.
Tell me what you had to do for this.
I'll show you.
Okay. If you're listening to this in podcast form, I'm not entirely sure why you're doing that. But you should be here live for the record holding open bar podcast. And Harvin was just smashing some beer, man. He said, "How do I prep for the open bar? Sit down, bucko." All right. I get it. Ethan, you're the health nut here. I mean, that you've got to do some sort of
health nut. I'm not that kind of doctor.
Okay.
But
you know how to take care of your
not
bones.
as I do. Let's put it that way. Do as I say, not as I do when it comes to health. I enjoy beer too much to be a health nut. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I don't think that was a good move by Brian. He's going to have to go to the bathroom at like the 30-minute mark. I pod with him often. I can assure you all that I will be carrying the show to the record. Brian, or Meatloaf Wildcat, as he is now named, will provide little to no sustenance to the show. And that's okay because we still love him.
I am very lovable.
Without question.
It's true.
I mean,
Punchable
very few Wildcats I would hug, but I think the Meatloaf, right? Can you? So I'm ignorant and out of the loop. We have 3 hours. So could you tell us what Meatloaf Wildcat is?
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
there's all the games on the internet right now on the Twitterverse where everybody's giving their personal.
I knew this one. Okay.
Yeah, they're giving their personal information away, their bank account numbers and security. Security question answers and all of that. Their birth dates, everything that a hacker would need to, steal your money in a time of financial crisis. It's very bright, to be honest. So James the Brain, our Ethan and I's co-host on one of our co-hosts there on Superflex Super Show. During the introductions, we always do introductions during the pod. And during the introductions, James comes on and he introduces himself as Orange Elk. And we're like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? And he said, it's my quarantine name. And they're like, okay, well, how do you figure out your quarantine name? Right. So apparently, this is according to James, apparently it's the last thing you ate and your high school mascot. And Meatloaf Wildcat was born, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's not that exciting of a story.
Yeah.
But the name itself, I mean, I just decided to.
I got one for you.
It's a fire one. I mean, I don't care if it was made up. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the meatloaf was very tasty, by the way.
Was it elk?
It was not, unfortunately. It was venison, but still very good.
Okay.
Yes.
What do we think about ketchup on meatloaf?
Yes, if it's made with brown sugar.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that answer.
Fancy.
Doctor it up, man. Throw some brown sugar in there. Make sure the scalloped potatoes are on the side. Green beans, all good.
I'll be honest, I hate meatloaf, so I won't make any comments. I'm
You
not a
love
meatloaf guy. I'm not.
You also think chili is
a soup?
It's not. Chili is not a soup.
It can be a soup.
It's not a soup.
It's hot.
It's not a soup.
It's a fucking soup.
I mean, chili and soup. We won't go into this debate, but I do have a food debate if you guys want to dive in, because I've seen this one on Twitter.
Okay,
and I think we could make it.
Oh fuck! I don't want to do this. No.
It's not the debate.
I don't want to do this one.
I want to do a draft based on this debate.
Dude, I'm gonna go nuts if we do this, Ethan.
I'm ready.
Gabe
So-
might cut the show and not even give us the
I
opportunity.
know. I'm cutting this off. I'm getting.
Shortest
I'm gonna-
episode in
He's a
open
little
bar.
tired.
What if I don't even bring up the actual debate and I just bring up my idea for a draft?
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay, so I won't bring up the debate, but this was spurned by a debate that's raging on Twitter right now. But it brought up a comment that I have thought about kind of throughout the day. And one of the foods was debated as being more manly than another food. And so I think we should have a draft on the manliest foods that you can eat. Because to me, I think it's a ridiculous claim because there's no such thing as manly foods. But then I thought about it and I'm like, actually, there are quite a few foods that I would consider manly foods to eat. And so I think we should have a draft of the best manly foods.
So I am down with that. However, I'm going to defer every time I'm on the clock to McGriff.
McGriff only eats
Simple
manly
as that.
foods.
Yeah, it's
McGriff is
exactly.
101 through 106.
I'll
Go.
have excellent choices on my roster.
Sweet. Who's going first? McGriff, you want to kick us off?
Oh man, I guess so. And maybe it's not necessarily so much the meat, but the process in which it was recovered or handled or butchered or whatever. And that's personally harvest wild game, butchered, prepared, and cooked by yours truly. You pick the animal, all fired up. 101. Let's call it elk steaks. Harvested elk steaks.
Elk
Yeah.
steaks. Yeah, that's elk. I feel like is more manly than just regular deer because elk are huge. So it's a much harder to get it like out of the woods. So I dig
100%.
that. I thought you were going to go with like crocodile meat or something off the chain. Have you ever hunted a crocodile? Because I feel like that's something you would do.
People do that. I have not, no, but yeah, that's a thing, man.
Dude, I
especially
could
down in
totally-
the bayou.
I could totally see you freaking with it. What is that show where they just hunt the crocodiles the whole time?
Swamp people.
Swamp People. I could totally see McGriff just rolling up on the Swamp People. Just all right, here we go. We're hunting,
Shoot them.
We're hunting crocodiles today, gators, and just absolutely destroying some poor lizard creature.
I think it would be like the caveat though. If you kill a crocodile, you must make boots out of it. Like you have to do that yourself too to make that even more manly. I think that's
Dude, if I killed a
or belt or
crocodile,
something.
I'd wear that shit all day. I would be
The
just,
whole thing.
just have the head would be around my head. I'd be walking around the neighborhood with it. Everyone in the world would know that I had killed a crocodile. Even if I just like hit it with my car, I would still probably claim that I had murdered
Fair.
that crocodile as a
That's
man
fair.
beast. Only a man beast could do.
Even if I hit it with my car.
Tailgater.
Gosh, that's a good one. I'll go second because we're doing manly foods. I'm gonna go with just a pure steak. Any kind of steak. To me, steak is the manliest of man foods. Any like hardworking man will tell you that steak and potatoes is their go-to. Every farmer I know is steak and potatoes. It's always steak and potatoes. Everything you eat, every man around me, it's just I want steak and just a big fat. And I personally don't like it this way, but it seems like every manly man eats it well done, burnt to a crisp, just ruins the steak. But they think that that's the way to go. But I will tell you that medium to medium rare is probably the best steak cooking. What do you guys think about steak as the 102 here? It's not like, I mean, killing a cow is not as cool as like killing an elk because cows are pretty useless. But
Not really manly or cool at all.
I mean, I'll throw some actual football in this for a hot minute and say it's like drafting Jonathan Taylor at the 102. It's like pretty obvious. So in a rookie draft right now. So I feel like steak, yeah, it's going to be up there.
It's safe though.
My problem is I think you have to be more specific to a steak because I disagree on the idea that any steak is going to be a manly steak. Like I think about like filet mignon or like the bougie ass steak they used in the movie Parasite. Where you got bougie ass steak with the marble cut in between, like the steak that like rich people eat. So
Wagyu.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good steak, though.
I know, but
It's expensive.
that's not manly. I mean, if I don't,
I mean, I'm thinking
to
like
be clear, to be fair, I
big
don't
old
give a
ribeye.
shit.
Like,
Yeah, and see, that's what I would, I would in quotes think is a correlation between masculinity and I don't give a shit. Like this is stupid, but I mean, I'm having fun, Ethan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
This is stupid. We should
shit
go
on your draft.
something
No,
else. This is good. We
Hey,
got 3
he-
hours.
he has
okay?
I meant-
It's not all
doctor in
going
front
to
of
be
his name,
grade A
okay?
content.
I'm with you in the fact that someone associated masculinity with eating a certain
yes,
food,
which I think is stupid.
which is that's what I'm with you on. So, okay, so 102, we've got you're saying a ribeye.
I'm taking ribeye.
Okay, let's flip it over to Meatloaf Wildcat. Hard
Yeah,
and bar.
So I'll do ribs,
Yeah,
barbecue ribs, smoked ribs,
Mhm.
any type of ribs. I love ribs, man. I love licking the fingers when you're done with every. Yeah.
we still talking about ribs or?
We are.
He got
We
like
are.
quiet when
I
he
guess we could be
described
talking
that.
about a couple things, but yes, we're talking about ribs. Thank you.
I think we just discovered what the 104 is going to be. Damn, I should have
things.
blew it at the 101.
You had one job.
Oh, shit.
101.
You blew it
One
indeed.
job.
I'm trading back.
You blew it indeed.
Ribs.
gosh.
103. Ribs. Cheers.
Pork or
And-
beef?
Ooh, that's a great question. God.
Dog.
I'm gonna say beef, but man, that's tough. They're both great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And the thing is, I think, regardless, we're looking and comparing to the idea of eating something off the bone, which is, I think, what you're sort of getting at here, Ethan. If I'm guessing correctly on
I mean, we
uh,
did eventually get to that. I did
Yeah.
not bring it up though
Okay.
because I was worried I'd get kicked off the show if I did. But I just thought I was thinking about it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, God, we got
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to really bust something out pretty crazy here.
Out the gate.
we are 1/9 of the way to completion. It is the top of the second inning. We're allowed to say that on a football show, right? Okay. Berg, what do you got, my man?
I'm going the sandwich. Okay. Anyone who has been single in their life, which all of us started out that way, a single man could eat sandwiches for his entire life. So coming out with the sandwich right now.
It's a fact.
Easily one of the best foods.
What is your go-to sandwich if you're just by yourself at home? You're just feeding yourself. Like, what do you throw on that sandwich?
Well,
Mm.
okay. First off, it's now I have been convinced that toasted bread is the way to go, but I mean, just dirty degenerate myself, I would not toast the bread. But yeah, bread, mayo, Munster cheese, ham or turkey. I'm leaning more turkey these days, and then spinach. That's it. That's my sandwich. And then obviously you improv from there, over time, depending on what you have in the fridge. But that basic sandwich, that's what I got. And another reason that the sandwiches are really manly is because a man will eat a sandwich from a gas station where a woman would not.
Egg salad from a 7-Eleven.
That's actually a great defense for why, because I was kind of on the edge on this. Like, I think you posed it very well. Like, I wasn't totally convinced this was the 104, but then you said the gas station thing. And now I'm like, that is absolutely true. If I told my wife we were getting gas station sandwiches, she'd be like, no, you're getting 2 gas station sandwiches, and I'm not touching either of them. So that is so true.
It was starting to lose it too with the Munster cheese, but then you brought it right back with the 7-Eleven egg salad.
Oh, I eat so much 7-Eleven egg salad. It's embarrassing.
Your insides are crying for help.
Jeez,
Help me,
dude.
please.
All right, give me Skyline over 7-Eleven egg salad. You caught me, bro.
Speaking of Skyline, my 105. My 105. We're not going to end on a whimper. We're not going to end on a whimper like Skyline. No, I'm just kidding. I would not do that. Somebody said it in the chat earlier, and it's not my favorite, but I feel like it is something that is incredibly manly, and it's bacon. Straight up bacon. Bacon is something that is, I feel like, characterized as being incredibly manly. Obviously, I think that it can even have degenerate status. What up, Kenny Pops? Shout out to you, Kenny. It almost feels like there's this degenerate status that people can get to where they go to either their favorite butcher shop, or they go and they get it like specially cut, like really thick, and they get these special bacon cuts and whatnot. And that's cool. I'm not mad at it, and it's probably delicious, but I'm just a simple, oh, what's this brand? Okay, sweet, bacon in a package at my local grocery store, and we'll call it a day. So shout out to everybody who's a bacon degenerate. If you like it, the maple brown sugar crisp crust and dipping it in chocolate and doing all sorts of crazy things at the Texas State Fair and everything else. Shout out to y'all nuts. But I'll take my bacon in the skillet and call it a day. Appreciate
I'm just picturing you going to like the store and you're shopping and your wife's like looking at stuff and you roll up. You're like, hey, got the bacon. It's literally just says bacon. That's it. There's not even a name brand on it. It just says bacon at the top. And you're like, got it. We're good to go. We're freaking set, man.
She's like, who even made this? And I'm like, who cares?
It's bacon.
Look at it. It says bacon. It's even spelled right. Not like the bacon dog treats. I'm talking about
Bacon strips.
Bacon strips.
Here's the thing.
There goes burger, first bathroom break.
You can just chop up bacon, throw it on a salad. All of a sudden, the salad's 100 times better. So, like, I totally agree with this.
You can make
even that 7-Eleven egg salad.
You can make non-manly food very manly by putting bacon on top,
That's a fact.
Or wrapping it.
or yes. There
That's
you
kind of
go.
popular
Because the
these
filet
days.
mignon
Yeah.
wrapped in bacon is significantly more manly. than
I think it
just a filet
automatically
mignon.
shoots up a notch for sure. It might be equal to like
It's like
a
being
New York sirloin or something.
It's like being drafted by the Chiefs if you're a running back. Just straight to the top.
Oh, wait, Har, are you trying to talk about football on this podcast?
Hold on.
Apologies. Apologies.
We got plenty of time.
Quarantine got my man
Football
Phoenix.
references. I heard the Jonathan Taylor thing, and now the Chiefs running back thing, and I don't like it. Don't like it. Yeah. So I guess I would just pick like a burger, honestly. And it could be it could be clean, it could be sloppy. It makes I think about those Hardee's commercials. Those Hardee's commercials. With the and you know what? Hold up. I'm switching the game up. I don't care about masculinity. It's femininity. Okay? Because the women eating those burgers on the Hardee's commercials are fire at eating burgers, okay? And possibly the best bite out of a burger I have ever seen in my life. So I am all for the women eating burgers, all right? Men suck. Draft over.
We do suck.
So this is how about this for a quick episode crossover? So you take that burger, and then you guys had that crazy peanut butter debate probably multiple times, but I was at a restaurant in town that had a peanut butter and jelly burger with candied bacon on it, and that sucker was fire. I first saw it, I think I ordered it because of the whole peanut butter debate that was on here, but it was so good. It was like the pepper jelly, peanut butter, candied bacon. Probably was 2,500 calories, and it was glorious.
Yeah. Okay. Did you say what? Peppered? What? Peppered peanut?
I feel like it was
butter?
like a pepper jam or something. It was like a fancier jam that was on there, but it was that bacon and the peanut butter combo that really put it over the top.
Yeah, you kind of have to do something with that to make it, worth ordering. Because just peanut butter jelly burger on its own is like, you're gonna have to convince me.
I think I still would have pulled that.
Oh, All right. That is one of many drafts that we are going to have tonight on the open bar. That was basically also our introduction section. Everyone got to draft. Anything else you'd like to add to your introduction, fellas? Or would you like to be based on what you would pick for a manly meal?
I'm good with it.
Let's talk some football.
All right.
Before we do, can we go to honorable mentions for this manly draft here? Manly meats draft or manly foods draft. I saw a couple in the chat that were pretty interesting, and just a major shout out to KC McCoy here in the chat. Just in general, Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. They Sweet Baby Ray's does. Man, you talk about manly barbecue sauces. They even make a buffalo wing sauce. Also in the bottle. You've had it, Har? Oh my goodness. My sister.
It's in the fridge.
Last time I visited my sister for my mom's birthday, she had made some wings in that, and I had no idea they made it. And it was delicious. So shout out to them. Shout out to the Sweet Baby Rays. Vincent, I think we all kind of
mentioned there, J Mike. Careful.
Oh yeah, my
Might
bad.
Get back in the circle here with Ethan.
What?
Vincent.
Your hair looks nice, man.
What?
It does.
I'm
Yeah.
so confused. I totally missed what just happened. All I heard was something.
Venison.
Ethan.
Ethan's half passed out already.
Hey, I got to pick my spots. Okay, we got to pace ourselves a little bit. So I was reading chat comments, and then I looked back. I heard my name, and I totally missed it. I'm sorry, Gabe. You can just kick me off the show now because obviously I'm terrible.
Did we break the record yet, or
No.
Big Bill McCarthy, big turkey leg. I feel like
Ooh,
that
smoked
is
turkey
that is
leg.
also.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Another
Yeah, I feel like
bone.
if you, yes.
Pretty much anything that's hard to eat and look feminine is like that's probably going to be on there. Like wings, a turkey leg. I mean, I guess with a burger, those Hardy girls do a good job of making that burger look good. But like, I have never seen any female with a turkey leg that I was like, damn, she looks really fine right now.
You've never been to Fresno, my man.
I have not.
way to not grow up in the medieval time?
Hey, another one, honorable mention, grilled chicken, but over charcoal. No propane. Any grilled chicken over charcoal is far superior to chicken over gas or propane.
Women, chicks eat chicken. That's a just no.
Grilled chicken over
Actually,
charcoal,
bacon,
that
too.
char.
Just sprinkle
there's
bacon
one-
bits on top.
Elk wrap
Bacon
chicken is what I meant
Bacon
to
bits
say.
save the day.
Last but not least, actually two more. Sorry. The real answer to the manliest meal is whiskey, liquid lunch. According to Zach. For those that don't know, Zach is not even someone who drinks, so don't get it twisted like he's a drunk or something. Y'all chill out. And lastly here, James. What up, James? Pork belly.
That's
We have a
bacon,
place
though.
here in Cincinnati.
Bacon.
Berg, have you ever been to Nada here in Cincinnati?
I have not. Sounds
Okay,
delicious.
Nada.
Oh my goodness, Nada is a place. And Gabe, if you ever come back again and actually have my ducks in a row when you're here, I will take you to Nada. But they have these pork belly sliders, and it is absolutely phenomenal.
Okay.
But yeah,
I will
very
say
good.
too,
So,
I was in Texas in October and I had rattlesnake meatballs. That's pretty manly, dude. And that was good too.
Wow.
That's a Texas thing, no?
All right, it's not a competition. Okay.
I was just trying something new.
What's the
Yes, it
cookiest
is.
manly thing you've ever eaten? I had a bacon cheeseburger once. Beat that. Freaking wrapped on a charcoal grill. That's
After you
all I
ran
got.
over the
I don't have
gator.
anything else to add. After I ran over, it was a gator. No, I've never had gator. I feel like that's something I would try though.
Yeah, if you go to New Orleans, you'll have
Alright.
gator. It's part of the experience.
Gator's all right. All right. Well, I think we've about covered that. I don't know.
Gabe opened that.
Nailed
I don't
it.
even want to have this conversation. But here we go for the next 30 minutes. Let's do it.
No, that was good. That was a good draft. But we literally should have more. I'm very much interested in the draft that we chatted about in our group DM because that's funny. If you remember what that was, we can talk about it later. But J Mike or Berg, you might not have been in there yet. J Mike, what do we got on the docket for tonight? What's on the show sheet, my man? What do we got?
We've got a lot of fun stuff this evening, and one of which I'm somewhat still working on. And if I can get this to share correctly, I'll be really pleased to do so. Because one of the categories will be ready, and so maybe we'll just do random categories throughout the night as I have them ready. I think that would be fun too. But I've got a game I do want to play with you guys.
My goodness.
And I'll intro it real quick because again, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do this because it keeps going full screen when I don't want it to. And I think this could just be less fun than I really want it to be if it doesn't show up correctly. So all that to say, we're going to play a game, and let's see if we can set this up well.
Okay.
Maybe.
Are we doing a screen share here?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
But it's not working.
We're getting fancy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Nope. That ain't it.
You sure?
I'm positive.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
This isn't working.
Oh.
Oh, this is super disappointing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm struggling.
Oh shoot! Now we're gonna have to make up another 30-minute segment.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, this is gonna be ugly.
Yeah, this just isn't working.
Okay.
Never mind.
I got something that maybe would spitball. I've been drinking. Spitball something. So I have a few names of guys who are in the incoming rookie class that I feel like are not that discussed, that maybe people have opinions on. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But I've recently become a big fan of DJ Dallas, and I want my LA Rams to draft him because I feel like if they're going full committee, he's a guy who can catch the ball and do great things in open space, as well as he's a great straight line runner to hit the gap scheme. And then I'm also really big into Ray Calais. I don't know if anyone knows him out of he's a Louisiana Cajun. So those are two guys that I like. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on them, but I know everyone's we're itching here towards the draft. We got a lot of rookie fever out there. If anyone has any names they want to throw out of guys that maybe are on the bottom end who probably won't make a difference, but could.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head with the Rams taking a late running back to add as part of a committee. I don't see them spending high capital. Obviously, they have super limited picks, and I feel like this got serious all of a sudden. Although this is weird for this podcast, but I like DJ Dallas there, and I know you probably just made Garrett Price real happy. He's like his biggest truther. But he'd be a good element to that. I felt like he was underutilized at Miami. Kind of a weird offense, weird how they did that thing. But he's definitely a good addition to that backfield with Henderson. I don't know what you do with John Kelly anymore, although I loved him a couple of years ago. But Malcolm Brown's shown to be valuable, so that could be a good kind of three-headed monster. Him being added to that. I could see that. I was thinking Michael P. Ryan. I could see P. Ryan ending up there late too, and he's another guy that can kind of fit that same bill.
Yeah, I like what I saw out of P. Ryan at the Senior Bowl. He doesn't have the historic college career or anything, but I do feel like he has some things on tape and through the draft process that have raised his profile a little bit. I think that the P. Ryan name is probably mud in the dynasty community at this point. But that that should not factor into his process. But I like DJ Dallas. I think that he is. You know what I comped him to Jalen Samuels. It's probably not a 1-for-1 comp, but just a guy who has good pass catching ability, who also could be good on the goal line. That's what I might take away from him. And that's why I think that the Rams could use a guy like that. If Henderson is going to be the three, not the 3 down, but the 1 or 2 down back, right? The guy that's barreling forward for yards, and he carries the ball in his left hand the entire time. But DJ Dallas could be a guy that is a cheap value late who could offer some receiving back skills. But Ray Calais, is anyone on Ray Calais at all?
How do you spell his last name? Because I tried to search him real sneaky like I know what he was, but I don't know how to. I don't know how to spell his name.
Ray Calais from.
It's Calais.
Oh, like Calais Campbell. Okay, got you. Yep.
Yeah, similar.
I got you. Yeah, no, I've never heard of that, obviously. So I cannot speak on him. I would tell you a guy that I would like the Rams to maybe look at is Josh Kelly out of UCLA. I think he is getting a little bit. I think some people are starting to pick up on him, but I think the NFL is going to like him a lot more than what we are talking about him in the Twitter and fantasy community right now. I mean, this dude came from a JUCO college, so he wasn't really on a lot of Devy boards. But then he basically showed up at UCLA, said, I'm the dude, 3 down back. He's got decent speed. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I like pairing him with a guy like Darrell Henderson too. But tell me about this Ray Calais, because I love learning about players that I've never heard of.
Well, I should have more info on him if I'm going to talk him up. But
I'm sorry. I thought you were the guy that knew him, so I was.
No, I do know. No. So So I watched his high. Okay, so first off, I'll just say I wish I could quote the person who. But I saw him get taken in a Twitter mock draft. I was like, who the hell is this guy? But yeah, he's out of Louisiana Lafayette. Right now, NFL.com has him listed as a 5.90 draft grade, which is like a backup special teamer. But he ran a 4.42. And if you watch his highlight, if you Google him and watch his highlights, the guy is electric. Like, it's a real highlight film. Do I think he's in the next Le'Veon Bell, does it all type of player? Probably not. But I do feel like he's someone who's athletic, who could catch on with the team, especially if he goes UDFA, which is probably the best scenario for him.
Yeah.
That could make some noise, maybe not, right away, but later in the season as injuries pile up, gets on the field, someone you want to watch in your waiver wire, dynasty-wise, someone to just stash, have him around, because who knows, he could shoot up in value.
Well, and that's what I kind of am highlighting from this. We can talk all day about the 3rd, 4th round rookie picks equating to 5th, 6th rounds, 7th undrafted, running backs that might go to the Rams in the later round. But that's the thing, is that we are talking about the Rams drafting a running back late. Is that due to the fact that they just lost, arguably one of the, who knows, I guess, but arguably one of the better running backs in the game, or that we don't have trust in Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown, or just the lack of depth? What is it exactly? Because they invested in Darrell Henderson already relatively highly, and I don't see why they would want to already test that, I guess.
For me, it's it's all those things. It's losing Gurley. It's the lack of depth. It's that they did invest in Henderson, but he barely saw the field in 2019. And he had a couple sparkle plays in preseason, but you didn't see any sparkle plays in the regular season. And he wasn't a prolific pass catcher in college. He didn't catch any passes this year in the pros, I don't think, maybe 1 or 2 tops. But I feel like, and from what they've said, the Rams are pretty secretive, but they also do, bluntly say things. And what they're saying is they're going by a committee approach. So Henderson is more or less I think a grounder, a ground and pound type of guy. And I think that they need a pass catching presence. I think that's what they want. So I think that there's opportunity for there to be more than one back in that system. And I don't think that Henderson is going to come out and be the new Todd Gurley, quite frankly. And I do question the fact that he was essentially redshirted his freshman year, especially someone like Sean McVay, who is allegedly forward thinking. Why would he redshirt his third-round draft pick, unless he had some questions about the guy's ability to make the field?
I've kind of been down on Henderson, and I've constantly called him a sexier Rashad Penny. I feel like he took advantage of playing in a poor conference, getting wide open holes, exposing poor defenses, and having just these wide open run lanes. You don't see him do a ton of work in tight spaces. You don't see him eluding a lot of tackles. You don't see him having to work in college anyways. For me, he's a sell if we start getting into that right now. But before the draft, I don't think they're putting high capital on somebody. I just think they need to fill out that running back room, if anything else. So maybe it is somebody in free agency, Devonta Freeman. I don't know, somebody they can snag cheaper. Who knows? But I don't see it with Henderson. I think he's good, but I think Rashad Penny was good too. I just don't think that they're that next level back that's going to carry that team like either one of those franchises thought that they were getting in those backs.
I was and Berg, I was looking the other day at your boy Raymond, because I remember you sent a message out about him, the Raging Cajun of choice for you, and I just didn't recognize how tiny he was. 5'7", 188, but his speed score is amazing. And again, I feel like I reference this guy a lot. Shout out to Kent Platt. He's outstanding. He's incredible in terms of the work that he does at MathBomb, I believe, on Twitter. And he's got these little relative athletic scores that he does. And if you've never seen them, he's got a full website, but he also posts them on Twitter. And I'll try to give a sample of what I'm looking at here, and maybe, just maybe, the screen share will work at least for this. But he's small. But let's see if we can get this to pull up. Can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. All right. So when we look at is that too much? No, it's good. Okay, great. So speed off the charts, fantastic. But this I feel like a weatherman right now. These up in the Northeast there, up in Maine, look out, Big B and Zach and Kyle, Dynasty Dummies there. We're just it's just not great in terms of his size, but man, you talk about that kind of speed, and I don't know what his numbers look like for you, but I know that he's a guy you've been touting for a while, Berg. So that's a really, really interesting guy that you have that I know that very few people have been excited about or even been bringing up. So I do like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm like out here saying he should be in the first round or anything. I just think he's a guy who appears to have a lot of things that are positive that could end up on an NFL roster. And like I said, if injuries pile up on the team he ends up on, he's a guy that could make waves. I just think that these are the type of guys, like the back end of the rookie class, like when it comes to waiver wire time during the season, that you want to know, like, where did Gus Edwards come from? Like a couple years ago, where did some of these guys, like if you're part of this draft process and you're doing all the information and you're following all this stuff, it's like you kind of have an edge in your season long leagues, as well as your dynasty leagues, if you know about these like kind of random but also upsidey guys who may not be the RB1 of a team, but are going to go in there and get some points.
Where does your model have them, Bird?
My model has a UDFA, but I actually, I have to do, the one article I do on Dynasty Happier, which I started last night, is the Rookie 100 Club, which tallies the rookies that scored 100 fantasy points in a half-point PPR format during the season. And, if you follow that, like, you are more likely to get to that data point if you are an undrafted rookie free agent versus a like 6th, 7th rounder. So, people draft capital matters. Yeah, draft capital matters for the first couple rounds, and then it precipitously drops.
So let me ask you guys this. Let's stick with the Rams for a second, and this is one word answers, or not one word answers, but just short answers. Keep it here. The starting running back of the Los Angeles Rams will be Henderson, Brown, or he's not yet on the roster. Those are your choices. So forget even starting. Let's just say the most relevant running back. The most relevant running back for the 2020 LA Rams is Henderson, is Malcolm Brown, is not on the roster currently. What say ye?
Malcolm Brown.
I think it's Henderson for the time being.
Yeah, I would say Henderson / not on the roster.
Man, that's tough. I'm gonna go with Brown too. Dang it, I want to give more, but you said one word.
No, that's fine. No, go for it. Keep going, E.
I think they showed that Brown was number 2 guy last year. I do think that we could be possibly looking at a season that's either shortened or at least the preseason aspect of it could be, significantly impacted with this virus. And so you're asking a rookie that maybe won't get to be with the team in the preseason, or at least won't get a full normal preseason. And then you're asking a guy that they took last year that clearly didn't. I mean, even if you love him as a prospect, he didn't wow them enough to get on the field well enough last season. You're asking him to come in his second year again. He has got to prove himself to be that guy. And I don't know, if the preseason is impacted at all, which it looks like it might be, then you're asking a rookie that can make an impact, and Henderson, who doesn't have a chance to make an impact. I think the team's going to go with the safest guy, which is probably Brown at this stage. So I'm going to go with Brown, and that's why.
So one interesting name that McGriff brought up earlier is Devonta Freeman, and I would absolutely love Devonta Freeman in LA. I think that would be a fantastic signing for them. You look at the targets vacated by Todd Gurley out of the backfield in that offense, and then you look at a guy like Devonta Freeman, who has been he's made as much of a name for himself receiving out of the backfield as he has running out of the backfield. So
agreed.
I would love that addition from a team build standpoint. I think he would fit in really well in that offense. I don't know that I love it fantasy-wise, because then, obviously he's taking touches away from probably Henderson more so than Brown. I think Brown, is the 1 and 2 guy, the first and second down guy, and then maybe Henderson is a third down / second down, rotate series type player is who I think he is. So I would love Devonta Freeman in LA. I think that would be a fantastic signing for them. And I think they could get him fairly cheap too. So all things considered, I would love that.
Can I ask a quick sidebar question on this, though? Who would you guys rather have in Dynasty today, Todd Gurley or Darrell Henderson?
Gurley.
Is that unanimous or not quite?
It's Gurley. And I can't believe it's a question, and it's a completely fair question. But yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people taking Henderson over Gurley in startups, or value him over him, or saying I want Gurley plus for Henderson, and it's like, what is Gurley dead? I get that he's had some banged up knees, but they all do. So I don't know. He's not dead to me, man. I still think Gurley's got a top 12 season in him.
As someone who watches the Rams, I'm wearing a Rams hat, so I watch the Rams pretty closely. Like, last season was very weird.
Because he wears a Rams hat.
Well, I'm just saying.
Is this new logo Rams, or is this old logo Rams? Okay.
Oh, it's old logo.
Nice.
It's old logo. How dare you?
All right. Oh, well. All right. Hold on a second here.
No, but sure. I don't say that. I'm just saying that, like, I've thought about this a lot. And I feel like they really got caught up last year in trying to make the best call in any given situation. And I don't think that they really valued what they could do with the running game in terms of utilizing Todd Gurley to the best fashion. I also feel like the injuries piled up. I mean, if you had, when Brandon Cooks got bottled up, that hurts. And this is part of why I kind of fade Gerald Henderson, because if anything was not working well, it was the run game, right? So why would he not be on the field? If Todd Gurley has a degenerative knee and is not being utilized, why would one of the backup quarterbacks, a guy you invested a third round capital in, who had like 9.8 yards per carry in college, why would he not be, a focal point of the new offense? So I do think that McVay gets a little bottled up in scheme and the moment to moment of that. So it's a tough situation to read overall, but your takeaways are that, if you want to say that Todd Gurley is done, that's fine, but I do not think he's done.
Well,
I'm buying.
Yeah, same. As far as landing spots, I mean, could he have landed many places that are a lot better than Atlanta?
Right.
It's beautiful.
It's
Absolutely
scary
not.
because it's a one year
Yeah.
deal, which is weird about the future prospects of what happens. But I think like you're saying, Griff, like a top 12 season is probably going to get him re-signed for 2 or 3 more years in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, they're probably going to be in cap hell here soon with the extensions to Ryan and Freeman happened, even though that's gone, but they're going to get hit from that. And then Julio as well. So I don't know. We'll see, but he's not done.
Since we're in Atlanta, you guys want to pivot to Calvin Ridley for a minute?
You know what, Bird? I would love to pivot to Calvin Ridley right now if you've got something to say.
I do have something to say. So I saw that, the guy that wags the tail of most fantasy stuff, Evan Silva, had him as like his wide receiver 8 early on. Calvin Ridley has been an amazing fantasy player his first 2 years in the league. The people in the draft this is actually a good time to talk about Calvin Ridley, because the draft process before he was drafted hated Calvin Ridley only because he was old. Okay. And you know what? Their we joked earlier about their models, blah, blah, blah. I understand the models. Okay. They really like fade outliers, which I get that. But you know what? As someone who has recently got into sports gambling, guess what? When you bet on trend, it fucking blows up in your face. So, I mean, betting on trend is not always a foolproof plan. And I feel like Calvin Ridley is someone who is a perfect example of this, who was an older prospect who, I mean, he went to Alabama, so he wasn't that exactly under the radar or anything, but like he's an older prospect who came into the league and people hated him because he was old. And then he had 10 touchdowns his first year, right? Yeah. And then what did he have last year? He was
7.
Yeah, but his catches and his yards went up. So leveled that out.
I think he only played 13 games last year too.
Yeah.
So that was less games. So actually more productive in less games.
Yeah. So he's someone who's came in and balled out, and the whole thought process about him in the pre-draft process, I'm not going to say it was wrong, was probably right in theory, but this is something, to take away is like, look, don't buy into everything you've heard about these guys going into your rookie drafts. Like, some guys are going to break out, like.
So here's the only thing about Ridley. So Ridley is my boy, Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse. It's his man's. Like, he even has a badge on DTC's trade calculator that says Dynasty Outhouse is man. So he loves him. I like Calvin Ridley a lot. I think he is being drafted appropriately. Wide receiver 21. So he's being drafted as a wide receiver 2. And I think that's appropriate. I think he has wide receiver 2. I mean, I think he's a safe wide receiver 2. I don't think he ain't Julio Jones. Sorry.
No.
Like, if people are drafting him thinking, well, Julio's getting older, and when Julio moves on, Calvin Ridley will be 30 years old. I mean, Julio Jones, 157 targets last year, and that was the lowest in like the last 3, I believe. Ridley had 93 targets. And look, again, 13 games, yes. And I'm not harping on Calvin Ridley. I just think we need to have perspective when we're drafting him. If you're drafting him as a wide receiver 2, you're drafting him appropriately, and he's a great value as a wide receiver 2. If you're drafting him to be the next Julio Jones, you're overpaying because he's not going to be that guy. He's just not.
I feel like Ridley is a higher ceilinged Jarvis Landry. And I say that because Jarvis has all he does is produce wide receiver 2 seasons, it feels like, but nobody really likes him and nobody really wants him. And you're just okay if I get him on my team. And he ends up being like a flex play for you every week. And you don't love it the whole time when you're submitting your roster, but every time it just works out. And Ridley is just, I feel like he has a higher ceiling week to week, but it's that same guy. I love Ridley, man. I think he's super talented. He obviously benefits from Julio being there, right? I mean, defensive coordinator, what are you supposed to do? Julio's a monster, and he will continue to be a monster until he's done and he hangs him up. You could see a Juju AB type deal when Julio does hang him up, and now Ridley's having to fend for himself unless they can bring in another alpha type guy. But he's the ultimate wide receiver too, and if you can get him as a flex type player for you, then it's game on.
Yeah, I mean, I think. And I like what Berg was saying about just not buying in. If everybody on him all of a sudden switches their opinion on a guy, it's not the time to just jump in with the flow. I mean, I feel like it's, I think sometimes we get too much into a vacuum, especially on Twitter, where it's like one dude starts hating on him and then 10 dudes start hating on him, then everybody's hating on him. And then it's like, okay, well, now you're just hurting yourself because he clearly had the tools. I'm pretty sure he had 1,000-yard season as a true freshman at Alabama. So you don't just do that if you're not good at football. So I do think it went a little bit too far, but I think you look at, especially that draft class at the wide receiver position, look at the dudes who moved into that conversation where I feel like Ridley really had a kind of a take hold on the number 1 or number 2 wide receiver position in that class. And then as the draft process goes on, you find out that DJ Moore is a freak athlete. I mean, Cortland Sutton impressed all the way through the process. And so I still feel like ultimately, yes, should Ridley have been discounted as much as he, he still went in the first round of rookie draft. So it's not like he disappeared off the face of the planet. But look at the 2 wide receivers that were consensus ahead of him during the draft. To me, at least, I still feel like Sutton and for sure DJ Moore are still widely considered better prospects and better dynasty assets than Calvin Ridley. So did we poo-poo him because, did we go a little bit overboard on the hate? Yes. But ultimately, I don't think necessarily as a community we were wrong for pushing guys like Sutton and DJ Moore ahead of them. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you feel like would you still take Sutton and Moore ahead of Calvin Ridley right now in Dynasty?
Yeah.
I mean, because I would. I mean, I don't think it's even really a debate. I'd rather have Moore and I'd rather have Sutton.
I would. I mean, for me personally, I would rather have. I would have Sutton, Ridley, Moore personally. Just because I don't know what the quarterback situation in Carolina is going to be like. And I don't know that, I mean, CMC is the alpha in that offense. Mm-hmm. They literally just re-signed him to the biggest RB deal in NFL history. So
wait, what?
I mean,
no, I'm serious. I'm positive I've missed that. McCaffrey got re-signed?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, he signed a 4-year extension for like
silly money,
$16 million a year, something ridiculous.
Oh, I missed that. What?
So we are breaking news that has already been broken on the show right now.
So the main question is: do they cut him in 2 years or 2.5, or how long does that take now?
Yeah,
it's worth it. I think.
I mean, we could use this, though, as a pivot point to talk about Drew Lock and the Broncos offense if we wanted to.
I'm fine with that. One more thing though. Sorry, J Mike. One more thing on DJ Moore's success and with we're unsure about the quarterback situation. I mean, last year was horrible. I don't see why we would be positive about that year whatsoever between Kyle Allen and Will Greer and still finishing as a top 12. Did he get in the top 12? I believe. And I'm just spouting things, but I believe he was at least close to a wide receiver 1 last year.
All right.
But but to be fair, I feel your regrets and I understand them. But I think that we are seeing why he has been surging possibly the most out of a lot of these kind of similar tiered wide receivers, I suppose. And now is all of a sudden like top 15 dynasty asset. Like, whoa, where did that come from? But I think it's warranted.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we've been joking around about the models all night. Like DJ Moore in the draft process, he was the guy that the model spit out as the top guy during his draft process. So I guess the logic tracks that he's now ascending to that status. I just wonder, and I do feel like people discount situation in the draft process, or they feel like their models will bore out more than the guys actually throwing the ball to them, which I think is a lot of top end. I mean, look, Allen Robinson and Allen Robinson would probably track as one of the top wide receivers in the game if he didn't have Mitchell Trubisky throwing the ball 15 yards over his head.
And still had an all right year, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was just floored in more than one way of that word. But yeah. Anyway, J Mike, what were you going to say? Or Drew Lock time, whatever's clever. I would like to mention real quick, guys, that we are going into the 4th inning of this show. Okay. If you're just joining us now, this is the world record for all podcasts ever, as long as the podcast is the open bar. There's some record somewhere around 2 hours, 46, 7, 8 minutes. I don't know. I'm going for 3:48. I don't care. All right. I'm going to rewatch The Irishman twice. Okay. Twice over. Let's go. Hardy har.
Yeah, and before we do, and I do like where you're going there, Berg, so we can talk through that. But I've got to shout out, and they're showing much love. I think I'm blocked by half of this crew. I'm blocked pretty sure on Twitter by half of TA3. Not sure why. I mean,
we have to correct that, J Mike. That is not right.
One day
I will correct that.
No, it's okay. One day I was I think I was making a joke toward Trader Joe. And people got mad upset about, like, we were talking about what's the best TA, and obviously ours had just been created this past season, and we were clowning and trying to get under the skin of TA3 people because that's just was a fun thing to do at the moment. And I said something to Trader Joe, and I guess people didn't know that I know, like, hey, we have a relationship. People we're cool like that,
right?
Anyway,
dude, J Mike knows everybody.
I don't know about that.
I just assume that J Mike is friends with every person in the fantasy community.
Yeah,
I've never seen a bad word outside of J Mike ever. No beefs, nothing.
But shout out to TA3. Stoops is in the building. He was here last week with us. We had a lot of fun with Ian and FF Aviator Ricky. Ricky good people as well. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but when you listen to Stoops, and I'm curious if you all ever listen to Stoops ever, whether it be on Trade Addicts when he guests or his own podcast, Debbie Delight. Do you all think he sounds like? Do you all think he sounds like Danny Cannell?
Holy shit!
Like I told him that last week.
A little bit.
Like, that's all I hear when I hear him talk ever. So anyway, next time you're listening, if you hear him talk, and you've ever heard Danny Cannell on podcast or radio, it is strikingly similar. So
we need one of these people who got talent to do one of these NFL voiceover things and just have Danny Cannell talking and then have Stoops voiceover, overlap that and just see what that looks like.
100%. It's so money.
Lip reading.
It's good. It's good. Gabe, do you remember last year in our Vampire League?
Nope.
And we had a decent amount of success last year. And
Yeah.
we got like
sit
5
down.
You guys had
garlic garblers.
Is
okay?
That's the Super Show? That's the Super Show Vampire League,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Yeah.
You guys won like 6 out of the first 9 weeks or something stupid like
we
that.
almost made the playoffs. We were
It's
ready
crazy.
to contend. Yeah. Sit down.
Yeah, it was amazing. And one of the things that we had to deal with, and Berg, this comes back to your point here. One of the things that we got a lot of grief for in the moment, Gabe, I don't remember if you remember this, but
like I said,
there was a team that we beat, and we basically had the choice come down to whether or not we were going to steal. Yeah,
I remember this.
Your boy Cooper Kupp, or your real boy, Mr. Bustin' My Suttons, Cortland Sutton, and we decided that this time, but by the time this time would come this year, that Sutton would be the much higher valued asset over Kupp. And we got laughed out of the room, and people thought we were dumb and all sorts of things. And lo and behold, look now, our good friends. Obviously, if you guys didn't know, we are a DLF podcast. It's a joke, but we keep it running because Matt Price told us to, and we're having fun with it. As the DLF podcast that we are on Dynasty League Football, we're company men. If you look at it in terms of wide receiver on ADP wide receivers, we are looking at one Cortland Sutton as wide receiver 14 and one Cooper Kupp as wide receiver 19. Not saying we were right. I'm not saying the rest of those garlic gobblers can go suck it. I'm not saying any of those things because I enjoy my league mates. I respect them. I respect their opinion. They're fantastic people. But you guys can kick rocks. We were right. So all that to say, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Y'all remember last year?
Hey, Mike, you don't have to be nice to them. We're changing divisions or whatever. We have a whole new crew.
Right. Screw you guys.
There was a period during the season last year where there was this push to talk about Cooper Kupp as a top 5 dynasty receiver. Y'all remember that?
Yeah,
dude, I can't even talk about Cooper Kupp because I've never been more wrong on an injury analysis than Cooper Kupp. He pulled the exact freaking switcheroo of what I said would happen with his season due to his ACL tear 2 years ago. Typically, with an ACL tear, you don't return to pre-injury production until 12 months. So if you have an ACL tear in week 11, hypothetically, according to all the data, you won't start producing the way that you were before you were injured until week 11. Well, this freaking guy, I'm looking at his stats right now. He busts out 4 straight 100-yard games from weeks freaking 2 to 5. And then in week 8, he has a 220-yard game. And then he falls off the face of the planet to end the season. His season went the exact opposite of what I expected it to based on his injury, and I'm still mad about it, and I can't even that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just
I will say it was around, sorry to interrupt, Har, but
no, you're
Ethan, real quick on the Vampire League, they were possibly giving us some heck. In good nature because it was around those huge games that he was having. And the whole idea behind these vampire leagues is to win and win immediately. And so we were well, sure. Right. But with a vampire league, I suppose you wanted to win immediately to steal more and more players immediately. And he was having better games than Sutton. And so we were kind of in between this thing of like, okay, we like the player Sutton in general, longevity wise, and compared to what Kupp is doing right now in the short term, it would make sense to have Kupp, and he'll be fine as a dynasty asset. But I think he's just kind of stagnant in comparison to where Sutton could go. Facts, Josh.
Yes.
If you're listening to this podcast on the next day and not here for the world record open bar episode live, we got a little comment saying that garlic gobblers needs to go on a shirt, and these are the facts that will go up immediately on the openbar.storeenvy.com. Sorry, Superflex show, it's our show.
Okay, so look, we're rocking Sutton right now, and Berg started talking about lock. So the Broncos offense, let's talk about it. There's a real strong possibility that by the time they pick at 15, I believe it is, that they have one of Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb potentially. If they add a weapon like that with Sutton, with Fant, it's lock season, is it not?
Gotta be.
I mean,
feel
we
like-
hated lock last year, though. As a community, we hated lock. Not
I
everybody, but the majority. It was a lot of lock hate going around. So I'm just gonna say I'm tepid. I like to hope that it's lock season for Cortland Sutton's sake, right? And whoever the two is that lands there in a couple weeks, because we know they're likely gonna have somebody. But I'm slowing my roll on Drew Lock until I need to see more than a few games, because we did the exact same thing with Baker Mayfield, where we got super excited, where he closed the season out. He had the most touchdowns for a rookie to do, blah, 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 all this other stuff. We crowned the man, and then come out his sophomore season, and life was not nearly as grand. I just don't want to. I don't want to repeat. I don't want to repeat the same mistake. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like it's safe to say right now that the lock is hot, though, right? Is it
Come
not?
on.
The lock is hot. The lock is hot. Not to even digress even farther now, but the Baker thing feels a lot more like a setup for a Kyler type thing right now in a year or two regression for whatever reason. But you see, they brought in Odell. Now they're bringing in Hopkins. The table is set for Kyler to murder. He's being drafted as quarterback 3. If that letdown happens, that would be just way too similar and eerie for what happened in Cleveland last year.
I think Kyler is more bust proof given the rushing ability that he has. But I agree that, his hype it's much higher than even Drew Lock. I mean, I think the thing is Lock kind of surprised people. Like, I feel like he came in as not a bad quarterback prospect, but definitely a guy that I feel like a lot of people thought needed a lot more work than what he showed at the end of last season. I still think he needs more work. But if they're going to, the good thing about these teams possibly investing another pick into that already, I mean, outside of they need a wide receiver too, which is why they need this second wide receiver. But I mean, they've got a good tight end. They've got an alpha in Cortland Sutton, or an ascending alpha, somebody that's becoming an alpha. If you could get him an O-line and some O-line help that maybe doesn't hold on every single play, and you can get him a second wide receiver, you're going to know if this dude is going to be able to make it or not. He's going to be able to show you something, which I guess gives him a kickstart on if he is the guy to build around or not. I feel like you look at a guy, and we're going to just keep bouncing around quarterbacks. I'm from the Superflex show, so we talk about quarterbacks a lot. But you look at a guy like Sam Darnold, he's never had the team invest in any significant weaponry for him. And so I like seeing the Broncos at least considering adding.
Whoa, Ethan.
What?
Brashad Perry mini right now.
How dare you?
Okay, how about
Thomas?
Hold on. What did he say? Do I have to kick him off the show? What did he say?
Broke his neck. That's not his fault.
Disrespecting Enunwa.
I didn't say anything about Enunwa. I said the team isn't investing in keeping him healthy.
No, I agree.
They're not investing in the O-line. They're not investing in wide receivers. Year after year, the team just doesn't do anything for him. The only difference is Sam Darnold's not Russell Wilson, so he can't carry the team on his back. Give the dude some weapons. Let him work.
He's not Russell Wilson, but Sam Darnold is a baller, and it's only going to be a matter of time.
He's young. He's like 22.
Yeah,
but he'll probably just go to the Patriots and ball out.
I am a big Sam Darnold guy. I'm a Kyler guy. I am a Drew Lock guy. These are all quarterbacks that I think if you're not out there
actively trying to get in that one quarterback league.
He's trying to sell quarterbacks right now. He's like, I'm telling you guys, these are good guys.
No, but I mean, look, we know that the Broncos are probably going to add another piece to their offense. Sam Darnold, I think, has shown out a little bit. Kyler Murray, I mean, they just got DeAndre Hopkins. These young guys, I think an overpay, if you're in a dynasty league, it's an overpay probably isn't a bad position to be in, because these guys they legit could appreciate in value.
So here's the difference for me between a guy like Kyler Murray and a guy like Drew Lock. So Kyler Murray has a higher floor because of his rushing statistics. If Drew Lock, Drew Lock started 5 games last year, right? So 7 touchdowns and 3 picks in those 5 games. He threw for 300 yards in one of those 5 games. He threw for over 200 yards in 2 of the 5. So 3 of the 5 games he threw for under 200 yards and 2 touchdowns or less. I think I like the idea of Drew Lock as the Broncos starting quarterback to win games a lot better than I like him for winning fantasy games for my roster in Superflex leagues.
I think that's fair.
That's kind of where I am, at least until I see him put the team on the back door and carry them.
But it does seem like that Broncos offense is trending up to be a passing attack that's beneficial for the quarterback position.
You're forgetting the most important factor here, though. So the quarterback selector, whatever we want to call Stompy, with his Mahomes of 18, his Lamar of 19, he is saying it's lock in 20. And he's not saying he's going to be the top 3 quarterback, but he's calling that's his biggest rise. And for now, we got to listen to that.
Well, listen, I actually have to say, I will admit, I was pretty much on Lamar, though, but I did take his blessing to heart. So I take his blessing on lock to heart as well.
Oh, God, don't tell him that, please.
Well, whatever. I mean, look.
He's going to roll on.
We'll get another singlet video.
I mean, what honestly though, and I said this on a podcast that with J Mike that we did, but like what really, I mean, for Lamar, for me, it was like when I watched Matt Waldman's breakdowns where Waldman really talked up Lamar's passing ability and proved he was a good passer. So, I mean, I had that. Look, there's a lot of good content out there. If you guys are watching this and you're not watching some of these other just amazing analysts and podcasters and videocasters, like, you got to go out there and find them, and because they're gonna influence you and they're gonna make you a better dynasty player, fantasy overall player. Like, it's all part of it.
But get you an elk steak first and then go watch some of that stuff.
Yes.
Indeed. And if you cooked it with brown sugar, squirt some Heinz on that bad boy.
That's right. Heinz only.
What do you
I'm from Pittsburgh. Don't disrespect us with Hunt's ketchup.
Ugh. I would never.
Freaking
Hunt's.
Talk about not manly.
My grandma once bought Hunt's ketchup. I think I disowned her that day.
Yeah.
Dang, Nana?
Not really. No, not really. Not really. She probably beat my ass. She's still around. I mean,
ketchup so bad it make you want to slap your grandma.
It was.
Dang.
Yeah.
Are there any not to like drive the conversation, but like because Gabe's the host, I don't want to like, and I've also been drinking, so. But
no, you be the host.
Bert, can we not leave quarterbacks for a second, just for one sec? All right.
If we want to pivot, talk about football.
Cool.
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Gabe?
I was just going to say we have to be a little bit careful with the lock thing because we're excited about what he has around him, and we were kind of covering this already before, but between Kyler and Baker and everything that they had around them before, I mean, this was a Cleveland Browns podcast a couple years ago because we were all excited about the top guy, all the guys in the top 100 of ADP, and it's like, how can he not fail? And I don't think he necessarily failed entirely, but he certainly did not meet our expectations, and I would just tread lightly, or as my co-host here, FF Tepid, would say, be tepid, tread tepidly.
Listen, my Twitter's already been updated, so FF Tepid it is. So I want to stick with quarterbacks for a moment, and this kind of gets into our game now. We'll see how well this rolls out on this screen share here, but made a game, and it was specifically for tonight. I didn't have enough time because obviously work is really busy for us right now. And I say obviously because obviously none of you know what I do for a living. So apparently that's super obvious to me.
Hitman, international hitman.
Yeah, exactly. Jason Statham. I'm the real life Jason Statham.
Wait, is
So-
that real? Are you like you intentionally don't let people know what you do in real life, or are you just saying that we just don't know because we don't know you well enough because we're not friends, or what?
Wow.
All right,
Okay.
so
I'm
All
just
right,
what I wanted to
halfway
get
through
to-
the show, halfway through the record, let's get into it. Huh?
No, nothing.
I mean, I
but
don't
love
know.
you
I'm
guys,
just curious.
obviously. No, I work in investments, and so right now everyone's calling me about how
bless
angry
your
they
heart.
are about their about the market and everything else. So yeah, it's a fun
Jay,
time,
Mike.
fun time to be me right
I'm
now.
sorry,
We,
man.
we all play Dynasty Fantasy Football. We all work in investments. Come on, buddy.
Right.
Like, come on. Whoa, we work in investments. Come on.
All right, so here we go. It's gonna be game time. I'm gonna go ahead and share this out, and you guys can rock with me. Where did Bird go? What's
gonna
the crap?
Doesn't get a-
Well, if he's going, I'm going too. Shit.
Bird
All
doesn't
right, guys.
Oh my
Bird
god!
doesn't give a
Intermission.
crap about your game, J Mike. He does not give a crap about that.
Unreal.
God, that's
Like
unbelievable.
so, I got
Okay,
a game.
J Mike's like introducing the game. Berg just gets up
Yeah.
and leaves, totally gone.
Is there another? So we've talked to while they're doing whatever. Because there's Locke, Baker, Kyler. I think you can kind of somehow group them in a similar category of like, okay, what's happening around them is interesting. Is there some other place that is interesting enough to make you either buy a quarterback on the cheap or even a landing spot for a quarterback up in this draft or possibly next year? Obviously the draft hasn't happened for next year. That might be difficult to speculate, but just any guys that or teams rather that you're thinking about.
Personally, I'm super intrigued. Well, so let me preface this. I'm probably one of the biggest Tua Tagovailoa fans. I guess there's going to be thousands of people that are going to say that. But whichever team he goes to, and odds are that it's either Miami or LA Chargers, right? Either one of those, both have good receivers currently. LA better. Miami's draft capital and what they have and what I think they can bring in, if it truly can be one of these Tua, DeAndre Swift, all these other O-linemen, you're grabbing some of these receivers late, man, skyrocket, right? And these are rookies, and I'm trying to think of some other scenarios with maybe first or second year guys, but any of these rookie spots for me, so LA, Miami, and Cincinnati, all three of those I feel like will have a realistic chance at a win now window under these rookies under their rookie contracts. And I know that seems a little, like as a reach for maybe some of the Bengals fans, and I apologize, Dwight, I love you. But, in Miami, that seems a little out there, but why not? You know what I'm saying? They're bringing in key defensive players. They've been stacking up the offensive line in Cincinnati. Weapons are there. I don't know. I'm super intrigued by all three of those, and I'd be willing to take some of the sports betting. Maybe I'll call Berg and see where he's doing that. But the odds are going to be, stacked the opposite way. So you can make a huge return if any of those things were to pan out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think that the rookies, unlike other years where it seems like the rookies might go into situations where there's just not really much hope. I feel like this year, the quarterback, the quarterbacks especially could be landing in situations that look pretty good on paper. I mean, the Bengals obviously didn't have a great record, but they didn't have great quarterback play. They lost their number one wide receiver. They lost their number one pick from last year, which is a very good offensive tackle. So they're going to get both of those guys back. I expect AJ Green to return. So you're looking at a team that's got Joe Mixon, that got an offensive line that's a first round pick offensive lineman that's returning. And then you've got, Boyd and Green on the outside. You sprinkle in Auden Tate, or maybe they take a guy in the second or third round. Joe Burrow could be a guy that immediately starts producing. You look at a team like the Chargers. I mean, if they were to trade up to get to our, it depends on what the price they pay to do that is. But I mean, still, he's got weapons there. He's got Mike Williams. He's got Austin Eckler. He's got, Keenan Allen there. So if Tua ends up at Hunter Henry, so you've got, there's definitely pass catching options there as well. So that's a pretty good spot, compared to some of these spots we've seen the last few years. It's like rookies show up at teams that just have no chance of, poor Josh Rosen. He's been on two of the worst teams in the history of NFL for 2 straight years.
Dash.
That dude never had a chance. And so, one other guy that I think is worth mentioning that I think while I'm not necessarily the highest guy on this player, I think the team is doing everything they can to make sure that he succeeds. And that's Josh Allen. I mean, they made the big trade to get Stephon Diggs, regardless of, I think Diggs is kind of a prima donna. We'll see how that plays out, but they paid a huge price to bring him in to basically, he made Smokey Brown look like a dang good receiver last year. Now you add Stephon Diggs, who's also, despite the actions on the sidelines, I still think he's a very good wide receiver. They've got a running back, talking about maybe bringing another running back in. I kind of like Singletary. That's a team that's clearly building around a quarterback that I could get behind. Now, again, maybe this is the year that Sam Darnold and the Jets decide that they're going to invest in that offense more than just a Quincy Enunwa, more than a Brashad Perriman, and give him something, to work with. If it's a CeeDee Lamb, if it's an offensive tackle, I don't care what they do. They need to give this guy something to work with because he's still, I think, a very talented quarterback. He's young. You can build around this dude, but you got to do something for him. You really have to give him something. We can't just let the dude flounder behind an offensive line that's subpar with a 28-year-old satellite back. And, that is, as a Steelers fan, there's no bad blood between me and Le'Veon Bell, but Le'Veon Bell is not the guy that he was when he was playing for Pittsburgh. It's just the facts of life. I'm sorry. I love Le'Veon Bell. He's still one of my favorite players. As a Steeler, he was one of my favorite players. I still think he is a serviceable running back, but he's not the same dude that he was before. He can't carry an offense like he did even partially in Pittsburgh for portions of games. And so that's not the answer. Brashad Perriman is not the answer. Get this dude somebody like a CeeDee Lamb with the 11th pick. Give him something to work with so that we can see, is Sam Darnold going to live up to the potential, or is he someone that just, it's not going to work? Right now, the jury's still out because they haven't given him anything. So those are two guys that I'm kind of looking at, especially in Dynasty, that I feel like could be on the upwards trajectory after this NFL draft.
Well, and the other team that you didn't mention there, or at least that I didn't hear, I was peeing, so I might have missed it. But when we're talking about quarterback landing spots, everybody hears Miami, and it's kind of not really, though, right? Devonta Parker, Preston Williams, Mike Gesicki. Is this an offense that has a chance to really take a step this year? I don't know what their offensive line situation's like, so I apologize on that front. But is this an offense, too, that can have a chance to kind of be a half-decent landing spot if they get a guy like Tua in there or Justin Herbert? Is this another offense that we start looking at a little bit differently than we have over the last several years?
There's no team that's more fun to mock for than the Dolphins because it's like playing this ultimate dynasty game where you have a million picks, super high capital. Every time I've done it, though, the best outcomes have been Tua, an offensive tackle like Josh Jones, a guard like Cesar Ruiz, so that clears out your first round, and then you just start loading up all these different skill positions and receivers and a great running back in the second and corners and everything else. And by the end of that thing, you're looking like, golly, I just built like this awesome franchise. They could easily leave, and it's going to be a young team, and they're going to have growing pains, but bringing in guys like Byron Jones, there's talent down there. I don't see why they couldn't be a really good football team winning the AFC East even in 2-3 years. Why not?
And they have picks next year too, don't they? I think they have two first next year still.
Yeah.
So, I definitely feel like they're fun to mock too. The one problem I have is that I really feel like the offensive tackle group in this class, it's a big four, and then you're kind of reaching for the fifth or sixth guy. I actually like the idea of them going a defensive player that falls with that middle pick, and then taking one of those offensive tackles where I think that it's worth a reach at the end of the first as opposed to the middle of the first. They're still probably going to take him at the middle of the first because offensive tackle is so important. But I agree they are fun to mock for because it's just like you get done and you're just like, man, I'm about to drop the dopest Madden startup of all time. Like, it really is. I mean, if you're going to rebuild, they're showing you the way to do it effectively. And who knows, maybe they trade, that opens up some trade possibilities to trade up and they get even better players than what we're looking at just with what the picks they have right now.
Doesn't it feel though that they're not going to take a quarterback?
Oh, they have to. Who? Miami? They have
Yeah.
to, right? They have to.
I don't know. Do they have to though?
Yes.
They could suck another year and then get one of the
the
quarterbacks
top
next
end
year.
of the rookie class next year, I feel like is way better than this year.
They messed up sucking last year to get themselves out of the 101. So it's like, could you blow it again this year? You're going to this year.
That's
and,
my
you play it out. And
No,
then
but there's a way to get up there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
theoretically, David, I think you're right. I mean, I think there are the problem is you can't guarantee that. And that's I mean, they're in a position now where they can take a quarterback likely in Tua at 5 unless they get jumped, right? That has the potential to be an elite quarterback in the league. So do you risk not taking that guy in hopes that you're in a position next year? Look, I mean, if Justin Fields and long-haired kid from Clemson Trevor Lawrence, thank you. If they
A little hippie boy.
it just
That's
wasn't
actually
right.
exactly
It
what
wasn't
David
right
looked
here,
like.
okay?
He let his hair flow down.
Golly, bum, you can't get away with shit on the open bar.
Hey, if this is
No,
going
no.
to be a world record show, why would you want to make mistakes like that?
Hey,
No.
I mean, look, I mean, we've talked about elk meat, and I've had several of these things. It just is what it is. But if they're in a position, I mean, those two guys are going to go 1-2 next year unless something really strange happens,
agree.
right? So if the Dolphins end up 3rd, they're screwed. So how do they pass on a chance at Tua this year? I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I think if you could guarantee that they were going to be in a position to draft one of those two guys, absolutely wait, because they're not going to be in a position where they're really contending as early as this season. So
I mean, if you add weapons, that team did play their way out of the first pick. So if you continue to add pieces, if you add 3 first-round picks to that team, maybe they do play themselves out of the top 3 picks. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick bows down to no man. So I definitely feel like he could play his way. He could play them out of top 3 or even top 5 picks next year.
Yeah,
He uses to mention about the idea of them just continuing to suck this year. That can still happen. And
they're
draft
definitely going to
Tua.
suck.
I know, but that can happen and draft Tua. Like they can still play without Tua this entire year and then still just be at the bottom of the draft and already have a quarterback going into 2021.
I mean,
It's a lot of 20s.
If I was a betting man, which I am,
So I'm a betting man.
Tua is going to end up a a Los Angeles Charger. And I mean, you can't go into SoFi Stadium with Tyrod Taylor as your starter. I mean, he might start game 1, but what's your you lost? Brady was the other option, right? And he went to Tampa Bay, so they're charged, and it makes sense. This is the fan base of Junior Seau. You have an opportunity to welcome Tua into your family and make him your franchise QB. It's just, and he's a great quarterback. It makes all the sense, and it makes all the sense financially.
As a lifelong Raider fan, I would have a hard time not having some type of fandom to the LA Chargers if they have Tua on their team, dude. It's going to be so hard not to like them.
It makes too much sense. Are we we're just some, I mean, me personally, I'm a drunk guy on a podcast. But I mean,
perfect.
But I'm saying it as someone in a business suit who hasn't been on lockdown for 6 weeks. It makes too much
On a
sense.
Tuesday night.
Right? It makes a lot of sense.
I get it. I don't think if Tua is there for sure, I don't think that you could risk not taking him if you're Miami.
Yeah.
I do agree that if Miami wants Tua, they're going to get him because they have all the picks to do it. If I'm Miami, I'm hoping he falls to 5. And even if he doesn't and you have to take Herbert, I mean, best case for Miami is Tua falls to 5 and then you make a trade. I think this is the best move. You make a trade for with 18, a second, and maybe a second next year because you got 2 next year. And you move up and you take Tua's right tackle because he's left-hand quarterback. So right tackle is really the marquee spot. You take Jedrick Wills if he starts falling, and then you pair those 2 up again, and then you take a running back at the end of the first. And that's how you kill this draft. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if a team's willing to move back if a guy like Wills is sitting at the middle of the top 10. I'm assuming he's going to go between picks 7 and 11 or 7 and 12. And so you're going to have to move up to get him. But I really, truly feel like they have the weapons to do that. But Los Angeles is going to be more desperate for a quarterback. I definitely agree with that because Los Angeles doesn't have a fallback plan, and they're going into a brand new stadium, and they don't have fans and where they're playing now anyway.
As someone who is here, like the Chargers have zero identity, and Tua would give them an identity, like way more than Herbert would. I mean. If I'll give my Herbert opinion now, which I kind of gave to J Mike at some point, but basically I think Herbert is kind of a little bit like the Josh Allen of this class where people are just like, locked into he's not going to be the upside guy you want, but he's ultimately going to provide value for you. So that's what I think of Herbert. But I do think that, that Los Angeles Chargers would be stupid to not trade up and draft Tua and make him your franchise QB, even if he doesn't start week 1. Maybe he, is a bit of a backup role to Tyrod at first, and then you work him into the fold, and he is your franchise guy. I mean, the logic just tracks too much.
Well,
just
and on
on
the other end of the logic, I mean, they have a natural trade partner in the Detroit Lions. I mean, the Detroit Lions, every single mock has them taking Jeffrey Okudah out of Ohio State, the defensive back. They're going to get him at 6. If they move back to 6 with the Chargers, it's not. I mean, the Giants aren't taking him. The Giants are taking Isaiah Simmons, likely. Then Miami still is sitting there at 5 with Justin Herbert, which we've heard the rumors that they're really enamored with. So they take Herbert at 5, and so Miami moves back 3 spots. Not Miami. Detroit moves back 3 spots to 6. LA jumps up and drafts Tua. The Lions still get Okudah at 6, and they pick up additional draft capital. I mean, that makes so much sense that if it doesn't happen, I'll be more shocked than if it does.
Yeah, it does. Definitely seems like even if Okudah is there for the Giants, they're going to take Simmons, which is, I think makes sense. But I don't know. I'm a pretty big Okudah fan. I think that guy is awesome. But I do think that that first 7 is going to dictate a lot, and how that shuffles and plays out is going to more or less dictate. I mean, this is pretty obvious, so I'm not really blowing people's minds here, but I think that first 7 has a chance to blow up more than we even know.
I'm ready for it. I hope there's a trade out the gate, man. I want it to get mixed up a little bit. I'm itching for an NFL trade to happen. I mean, I'm with Har. I totally think that makes a ton of sense. The Lions could use some capital. They can use some extra picks. Why not? Let's get it going. I want, if it's going to be a weird draft anyways, let's get some Zoom trade action out the gate.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, I think 1 and 2 should be locked in, but after that, it could get spicy.
I dig that.
All right. So, J Mike, before the departure of the 2 gentlemen on the right, you were going to kick off a game.
Yeah. Sorry, J Mike. Apologies, brother.
And here we are, 20 minutes later. We're already
ready. I think we still might be able to squeeze it in.
The sixth inning. All right.
Yeah. I think that's the case, and that's all right. So, we've got a few of the categories finished, but we'll only go through one for right now. Maybe we'll come back to it here soon. This is in reference to quarterbacks. And there's a really cool animation I put to this, and unbelievable, Ethan.
Are you
I'm just kidding you, dog.
Just
I'm
go. No.
just kidding you. I'm just kidding you.
That was pretty good. I liked it though. It's like this mother trucker right here.
Oh, hey, before we get in, so just real quick, J Mike, I got one more thing.
First of all, I have to
Ethan.
go to the bathroom, and then when we get back, I have something else to say before we actually get into this.
So, Ethan, will you please pronounce Tua's last name for the people in the chat?
The name is tongue, like your tongue, like the thing in your mouth. O Vailoa. Tungo Vailoa.
Tango
welcome.
Viola.
Yep, that is perfect. You just keep it up with that.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Tungo Vailoa. Don't ask me to. We tried to say his
I
first name.
love Tua, by the way.
We
I
tried to
love
say his
Tua.
first name on the Superflex show, and it is the first name is way. Everyone's butchering
Way
the last
longer.
name, and there's a video I
Hard to
posted.
believe.
There's a video of Tua explaining how to say his last name, but oh my gosh, good luck trying to say his first name. It's absolute bonkers. You can't. It's like there's like 60 syllables.
Shout out to Zach Reed's son of the Dynasty Dummies. If you ever need a tutorial on how to say Tua's name correctly, the entire thing, not just the shortened Tua, his young son nails it. And he said it there. His 6-year-old, yes, he absolutely kills it. It's fantastic. But Albert O, just real quick before we jump into this game, as another thing to derail us, what is
Okrugambunam.
and Aton was on here and he said it so smooth when he was here last week. I want to say it's Okawebunam, something of that nature. It's
I'll buy
pretty
it.
close.
There you go.
J Mike,
Okawebunam.
your
Cool.
quarantine name is probably like chocolate smooth silver. Like it has to be something that is so much better than anything that is even
The
possible.
smooth
Like
silvers.
we talked about this on the Super Show too. Like you and Gabe probably have the coolest possible quarantine names. I know this is off subject. I apologize, but we do have time this evening.
We did. So what? I mean, I didn't care that we used time on the podcast to talk about that, but we did do it again because we actually had already addressed that in a previous episode, and I think we did it. We did everyone's on the episode at that time. Now,
Yes.
of course, with these names, they change frequently unless you're just 24/7 Meatloaf.
Yes.
FF 24/7 Meatloaf. I don't know, but
Twitter handle will change.
yeah. So what was the goat
Canes.
one?
It was
We called-
Canes was the best. Yeah, Cane for
yeah,
sale.
we
Shout out
called
to
it.
Kane.
We named the episode after it, right? The
100%.
pasta bake something.
Pasta Baked Thunderhawk,
That's it.
How-
Pasta bake
ooh, boss.
Thunderhawk.
right?
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
we were taking. I think it was
Sounds
like
like
the
an
last
indie
thing
movie.
you ate. Yeah, it was like the last thing you ate in your high school mascot. I think is what it
Yes,
was.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pasta
I'm
Baked.
just picturing McGriff dropping like, "Damn, I'm the bear sandwich bears."
I know. It's bear.
Bear.
Bear burger
Bear squared.
cabbage.
Dangerous and delicious. So yeah.
Here
this
comes the
game.
game, guys.
All right. I'm just gonna do it. And again, I had some sweet animations that I even worked on, but they're not working with this. So we'll just do the application itself. And thank you to Adobe and the good folks at PDF. Shout out to anybody who works at Adobe that I may or may not know. I don't know. Anyway. Yes, indeed.
Are
Yes,
you kidding
indeed.
me?
Yes,
Are you
indeed.
kidding me?
This is terrible.
Yes.
If this is any kind of trivia football related, I'm just count me out. I'm
Bro,
gonna actually need to take it.
you're here for this. It's gonna be amazing.
Dalvin
Go.
Cook.
The categories are
Real fast. I'm sorry,
Yep.
but do we need to do out of Ohio, a Skyline Chili aficionado, J Mike as your host.
He's doing the intros, man.
Out
First
of
off-
LA, 3-time Grammy-winning director Berg. How does he do it? You got that intro, guy. It's not
Wow.
even- It's not even Alex Trebek. It's the other guy on the microphone, man. But okay, anyways, proceed.
First off, to put me in the group of folks who are advocates for Skyline, I'm gonna have to come see about you here in a minute. Show you how many ADP push-ups I've been doing lately with this quarantine. Anyway, today's categories. Bridge so big. Talking about bridge quarterbacks.
I love it.
Okay.
This is good.
The Wild West. Talking about how lit the NFC West is going to be and how not lit I think the AFC West is going to be. That's the one. That's one that's not finished yet. So again, we're probably going to only be able to do a couple of these that are done. Yeah, because when I had to convert it over, stuff didn't do right. I'm upset. I spent a lot of time on this.
We're just doing this until we die, right? So.
Yeah, basically living my best quarantine life. Open bar bets. Basically having you guys pick them. This is going to be good.
This is where you guys give me Will Rogers track bets.
Cornerstones. Talking about who you're building your dynasty teams around. And last but not
Barkley.
least. Oh, no, he didn't. Or did he? Also still under.
These are great categories.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I worked hard on them, and again,
no, they're good conversation stirrers.
Indeed, I appreciate that. So,
I'm stirred.
and they're more for conversation, so the money can just kind of be for fun. We can let the chat decide, and again, just another incentive for those who are listening to this in podcast form. If you want to be able to give out points and give out monies to people. Fake monies, obviously, monopoly money, if you will, to people who give the best answers for these things. I'll let you all be the judge, and I'll even keep score over here, and we'll see who's the winner of tonight of the couple ones that we can actually get through. So, all that being said, we'll just start with Bridge So Big for 100. Bridge So Big.
J. Mike, how are we going to be? Oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh, you did this.
So, true or false? Chicago Bears QB. Mitchell Trubisky finished the year quarterback 26, and that was actually QB 32 in points per game. Nick Foles is an upgrade to True Chains. What do you guys think?
Hell yeah. Nick
Yeah,
Foles
why
is
not?
definitely an upgrade.
I just want to throw it out there again. I just want to be sensitive to the Foles family, to the Trubisky families. Don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. But
go ahead. Who said? Oh yeah, go ahead.
When we're looking here, Nick Foles in April ADP for quarterbacks.
We should have been doing this the whole time. By the way. This is amazing.
I just want to throw it out there. I don't see Nick Foles on the top 38 quarterbacks on April.
Wow.
Wow, that's incredible.
Serviceable, huh?
Yeah, no
Is
Nick
that
Foles
even
here, guys.
considered serviceable?
I just want to throw this out there. That's ahead of Dwayne Haskins. That's ahead of Jacob Eason. Behind Haskins, behind Eason. Like people would rather have Eason over Nick Foles. People would rather have Jake Fromm over Nick Foles.
No.
I'm just saying that's April ADP. I'm just saying. So, with all that being said, Nick Foles, is he an upgrade to True Chains? Will he finish above quarterback 26 for our fantasy teams?
Yes. And if he becomes the starter in Chicago, that's the best quarterback that Allen Robinson has played in his collegiate or professional career. So if Nick Foles wins that job out of camp, if there is a camp, Allen Robinson, I think his value skyrockets.
Wait a minute. So A-Rob's best year ever was with Blake Bortles, yes?
Correct.
Okay. He had 15 touchdowns.
Matt McGloin in college.
Man, he's been playing with terrible quarterbacks his whole life. The thing that I don't think Foles will finish above quarterback 26 because I could picture Nagy doing a deal where Trubisky will start like 8 games or 9 games and Foles will start with like 7 games, and it'll just be gross all the way across the board.
So points per game, I believe he will be over 26.
That's fair.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I think that Nick Foles will be a guy who, in your season-long leagues, you'll be dumping half of your fab budget on because he'll now be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Yep. I'm with you on that, Berg. Perfect.
And I think that in Dynasty, he's someone to add, but you're not like super excited about him.
No, it's great.
I absolutely. Sorry, go ahead.
Finish it, man. It's good.
I mean, I think this is going to play out exactly like what we saw when Tannehill got traded last season. The team went with their incumbent starter, and then about mid to first third of the season through, they're like, "Yo, this isn't working. Our team is better than what we're playing right now." And then he comes in. The question is, can he replicate what Tannehill did last year? And I don't really know if he can. I mean, Tannehill went on an absolute tear to finish last season, especially in fantasy. He only finished as the QB 22 in total fantasy points. Tannehill did. And so I think if they split the season, it's just going to be a wash. Neither one of these dudes, maybe on a per game basis, like you guys said, but from an overall, we're asking overall fantasy finish. I don't see either of them finishing.
That's a good
I think they're going to
comparison, because you know what? Like, he's going to walk into a situation with Allen Robinson, who I think collectively we all think is amazing, Anthony Miller, right? Like some decent wide receivers. So it's not like he's going to walk into garbage.
Yeah, I mean, but I still feel like, I mean, Tannehill only finished as a QB 22 overall. So we're talking overall finishes. We're not talking per game finishes. So, I mean, to me, 26 is probably right around where I would expect Foles, even unless he starts the year and is the quarterback from the start the whole year. I just don't see any way that he finishes higher than mid 20s, just because he's not going to have enough games.
Okay. All right. I was soliciting who should get points from you all, and I feel like Berg got the most love on that one. So Berg, you get the first $100 of the
Wow.
Of the competition.
Hey, he is an Emmy
Which horse
Award
is that
winner.
going on?
That's surprising.
J-Mac, I would like
flash the trophy.
Remember that time that he walked out the first time. And I would like you to consider that before.
What the categories again? Just pick one for me.
Awarding him 100 points
as a podcast
I want to go.
Of the people.
I want to go.
Bert, hold on, Bert. As the podcast of the people, we can't deny the people. The people shouted out Berg. They said he won that point. So yeah, we'll move forward. Sorry,
with the chat. I'll take Letits now for 300, J
Mike. So Berg, let's stay in Bridge So Big. How many monies you won on this one? Under
500.
Bridge So Big or open bar bets? Of course, you go for the 500. All right. Is Tampa Bay, aka Tampa Brady, aka Tampa Bay Buccaneers QB Tom Brady, the greatest bridge quarterback since Joe Montana?
Joe Montana or Joe Montana?
Maintaining.
We should be doing this the whole show. Oh, this is great.
Yes.
Yeah, how think about that? What's there to argue against? I think Tom. There's so much talk about him wanting to go down there specifically to have some of the offensive weapons that he will get that he hasn't had in years past. He's still got enough arm. He's not a slinger. It's very well. You could throw Peyton Manning into that best bridge too when he went over to the Broncos.
There we go. That's
what I was going to say.
Brock Osweiler, so that's like a bridge before the bridge meltdown. But he's definitely in the conversation. For me, it's either him or Denver Peyton.
And I wanted to throw it out, and I'll let you guys continue to toss this about. But one of the reasons why I ask it is because I think it's twofold. Kind of one, do we see Brady as a bridge group QB? Because I don't know that people necessarily are looking at it like that. But I mean, we're looking at a very short shelf life, like in all likelihood, unless he truly is going to be playing till 46 or whatever he was talking about, 45. And obviously, we saw Peyton Manning absolutely slay with the Broncos. We saw Montana take the Chiefs to the playoffs. Do we think that Tom Brady is, in all of his goatness that people want to bestow upon him, is he someone who we think that can really elevate this Buccaneers team?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback, obviously, that's ever played the game. And if you're arguing that, you're silly or biased. I mean, he's the greatest that's ever played. So and this is the greatest. These are the greatest offensive weapons that he's ever had at the wide receiver position, outside of the Randy Moss years in New England, obviously. I mean, absolutely. I mean, does anybody really think that we're not going to get Tom Brady of the like mid 2000s here going to Tampa Bay? I mean, I can't imagine that Tom Brady doesn't go to Tampa.
Or...
Say that again.
I mean, is he getting like his body is not going to be the same? His arm. I don't
think it matters. He can throw 5-yard out patterns to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and these are the best weapons he's ever had at wide receiver, outside of Randy Moss. So I don't think it matters that he can throw the ball 70 yards in the air anymore. If he can throw it 30, I do too. But if he can throw it 30, I mean, these guys look. This is. If you're not drafting Tom Brady in super flex leagues, like as a starting quarterback, and you're pushing him because of age, you're making a big mistake, because this dude is gonna carry you to championships. You should know by now, right?
To me, I know this has already been said, but to me, I don't think you can get a better bridge quarterback than Peyton Manning and what he did. Let's not forget that his neck injury led to Andrew Luck. There's no better bridge from elite quarterback to elite quarterback in NFL history. Let's just talk about that first. So he left and then allowed his team to then draft one of the greatest quarterback prospects of all time. That's a pretty good bridge. And then he left and won a Super Bowl, which is also pretty great. That's two bridges. He crossed the bridge and won for both teams. Both teams got better for him being a bridge. And I'm sorry, but there are not very many teams that have had a guy leave and get better and then come on and get better as a bridge quarterback. And that is my only argument for this. But I agree with the comment, and we should pull it up here, that
rest of the show
that Har should get points for touching his microphone with both hands the whole time.
Rest of the show.
He's sitting here.
Look, I even got the mic.
Why you need to watch this show live. It's a breaking show. If you're listening to the podcast, you turn it off right now. You come back and you watch Brian Har caress his mic like he has got big money on the line for a full 3 minutes of talking. That's what you really need. But to me, it's Peyton Manning. We'll see if Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl. Maybe he has, a pretty good case. But to me, it's Peyton Manning, and it's not really close, because him leaving led to two teams getting better, and that almost never happens. So
that is weird.
And what I need from the chat, it feels like even when you're okay, I'm about to say I need to hear from the chat who won that question, because I almost want to just automatically give it to Har, because he had two contestants going against him who basically said he should get the points for the way that he was holding the mic. But again, I want to be a go ahead, McGriff.
I was going to say we need to give honorable mention points to the chat to Trader Joe with the Teddy Bridgewater drop.
Yeah, I had a Bridgewater question. Spoiler alert. Yeah. I took it out last minute because I was like, I don't want to be super corny, but it's kind of my bag, so I probably should. I decided against it. I went with this Tampa Bay one instead because I thought it was fun.
Hey, I don't want to. I actually think I might need to sign off, fellas.
All right, Bert.
Wow. Bert takes it to the seventh inning, and now we need relief. My goodness.
Give me Vaughn.
I'm sorry.
It's all good, Bert. Hey, shout out where people can find you. All that good stuff, man. Thanks for coming to kick it with us.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. You can find me at Carl Jr. on Twitter. I'm gonna do the preseason Dialed In podcast eventually. Hopefully, we can do that. I don't know, but if we can, I'll do it. So, yeah. Also, shout out to Dynasty Happy Hour. I'm hopefully going to be putting my my Rookie 100 Club article in there. So, shout out to Dynasty Happy Hour. Charlie Gunther, Commissioner Griff, Ethan. I think is a part of Dynasty Happy Hour.
I'm basically just an advisor in the chat. but
Nice.
for some reason, I have stayed in. I talked to them, said I'm not writing for you guys anymore. I'm sorry, and they were like, "But we kind of like you." So I am an omnipresent force in the chat.
Yeah, same.
if necessary.
No, I
And,
think
and
we're all,
Berg, we've got to get you back soon, Berg, for the annual rookie roast. It's not rookie season
I
without the
want
rookie
to
roast.
do the rookie roast.
Okay,
I
we've got to
do.
talk about that sometime in May. So we got to bring you back soon.
We got to do that. We got
All
to do
right.
that. All right. Thank
Appreciate
you,
you,
my
bro.
man. Thank you, guys.
See you, Bird.
Thanks, Bird.
Bye, guys.
See you, Berg.
And then there were 5. All right.
So,
My odds just increased.
so did Berg just get Batista bomb through the table
yes.
out of this table because he didn't stay for the record breaking?
His name will be nothing but a
He needs an
footnote.
asterisk for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be
Put
a
him in
footnote in
asterisk,
history.
because
Yeah.
he was wildly entertaining, and he probably did drink
Yes.
more than any of us. So
Yeah.
he definitely deserves some
That was
credit.
awesome.
He was
For those
having a good
yeah.
time at the bar, which is what the bar is here for, right?
100%.
Yes,
100%. And for those
Sponsored
that
by
don't know,
who?
Bird, you silly, they'll try. So for those that don't know, Berg is legitimately a 3-time Emmy award winning director, I think producer, one of the two, I can't remember. But anyway, he does a lot of dope stuff. And I originally met Berg in our Kamikaze League. That's about 4 years in now, Dynasty League. So he and I go back, and he's good people. But yeah, so y'all check out Berg again on Twitter at Carl Jr. He's good people. Back to the lecture at hand. All right. So, Har, you won the points there. So 100 and 500 are already taken. Where would you like to go under Bridge So Big or open bar bets? One of the two.
Let's switch it over to open bar bets for 100.
Open bar bets for $100. The one rookie wide receiver that will be on 0% of your dynasty teams.
What are we on? Open bar bets?
Open bar bets.
Okay. Are we betting?
I think that this opens the door for it.
Okay.
That's my hope.
Oh.
Just to let you know, Gabe,
Yeah.
from James in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I lost my. I went to
He
go
says
look up
he says I
rookie.
need more man bun.
Moss man bun.
Moss man bun. Well, look,
Moss.
okay, fair enough. For one, for two, these guys are incredible. I mean, we couldn't get Berg to shut up. He couldn't stop drinking mezcal and wine down here, and now that he's gone, I might have an opportunity to talk. And so I appreciate you, James, for loving me, and Berg for leaving me. So yeah, guys, let's get it. You want to take right now? You want a wide receiver that I don't want on my team? Huh? I don't know any guys. I really I got no idea. I'll tell you what, this is such a difficult year for me to the wide receivers, particularly because they run so deep that I'm like, man, I don't know if I would cut it off there. Nope, not there. Nope. And I feel like there's always a place for a guy on my team. And I think that there's, I guess, certainly a player that is maybe disliked the most, I would say, as far as like in between all these tiers or whatever, and it'd probably be Ruggs. But I think it's going to depend on where he lands for me before I would say 0%. But that's my guy for sure. Look at that, James. You and I are the same human.
Did Casey say? Did he say CD Lamb seriously?
Boom.
Or is he like? Oh my God! Really? I mean, do you not have any first round picks? Is that what we're talking about here, or what?
Easy out, right? I think. Look, if we're talking guys to avoid, there's a lot of depth here. There's a lot of guys I like that I'm still hoping I can target in the 4th round who I actually like value. So there's a lot of depth. There's some players I absolutely love, but it's all going to depend on where they are going. So to try to not give you all the outs, the players that I don't necessarily like because of their ADP right now, and I guess we'll see how that changes after the draft, but Brandon Ayuk is one. He's gaining a lot of steam. There's people that are talking about he's a better prospect than N'Keal Harry coming out. I don't see that. There's other guys that have similar skill sets to him that I'd rather have a round later. So Ayuk is one I think is going to go in the second round, maybe mid-second round of rookie drafts. I'll pass. I'm not going to have him on any of my teams. The other one is, and this pains me to say out loud, but Laviska Shenault is someone who I love. I'm a big fan of. I like what he brings to the table. I like him more now because he's going to be available in the second round of rookie drafts, but I still just don't know if I trust it, and I don't know if I like some of the spots he's going to go to because most of the primo spots will be taken up in the first and early parts of the second round. I still think he's got day 2 capital, but a lot of injuries, all kinds of different injuries, and so because of where they're going to go, I don't think I'll have either one of those guys on any of my dynasty rosters.
One interesting one I saw there, J Mike, which just alludes to the point of how deep this is, was KJ Hill, I think.
Boom.
I saw that one someone there, and it's like
James. What up, James?
And I don't hate you for
Belichick?
it. Yeah. And I don't hate him for it at all. Like we should land on a player that we just necessarily don't like. But I mean, shoot, he's going to be a probably third or fourth round rookie pick,
Right.
and it's just nuts to think that is like you can plant a flag on a guy like that and be like, no, I don't want him on any of my teams. But just the price that you're willing to take to throw a player away with that type of talent is crazy to me. I mean, yeah, like Hodgins would be a guy that like has like red flags to me, but I love a lot too. And he's going to be same thing, like a third or fourth round rookie pick at this point. Who knows what happens? But yeah, wow, that's tough. That's tough, J Mike, with all the wide receivers.
Well, I'll just say this though. Keep in mind too, we talk about talent, and obviously talent to a large degree when we look at it is subjective. And also one of the things against KJ Hill, just as another side of the coin, if you will, guys was at Ohio State for 4 years, right? And like, not to say what does he have to show for it, but we just would have liked to have like seen him like be the highlight or focal point or something over that time, and that was never technically the case, right? So I can see how someone can say on any player, just like I don't think you're that good. Like I just don't think you're that good. And even if a team says, oh man, I'm gonna drop this 4th round pick on you, like if you're out on a guy, like I don't blame you for saying that you don't want to deal with him. No, I don't even know that's his argument or anything. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's warranted. I'm just saying, considering how deep it is and the talent that you can get, or like the risk, in quotes, risk that you're taking on a 4th round guy versus like probably the same type of talent that you take on a 2nd round guy like 2 years ago is pretty intense.
Gotcha. I mean, I've got an answer too here. I do, this is hard because I feel like most of the wide receivers are going about where I'd be comfortable taking them. So it's hard to like, so you're really just asking like, who do you not like as a wide receiver in this class? Because to me, I feel like most of them are valued, at least before the draft, around where I would be like, yeah, that's probably where they should go based on the talent base, where I feel like they should go. Like Gabe said, a 3rd and 4th round pick, you can't like put a no on a, if one of those guys goes, a guy that's going in the 3rd round right now might end up on a spot where he could be the wide receiver 2 on a team. And even if you don't like him as a player, like situation is going to push him up. And so to say like, oh, I'm not going to draft that dude, I just don't feel like we're at that level yet. To me, and this is purely, I feel like he's being valued appropriately, but I like the value around everyone else better. It's T. Higgins for me. And so there's the girth, the money making spots of this rookie draft for wide receivers are into the 1st, early 2nd. That's when you're seeing guys like Ruggs, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, T. Higgins, Denzel Mims. All those dudes are kind of right at the end of the 1st round. And to me, I like all of those dudes I mentioned more than I like T. Higgins. I like Denzel Mims more. I like Henry Ruggs more because I feel like he's at least a specialist at what he does. I like Jalen Reagor more. I feel like, he's a guy that he reminds me a lot of a Deontay Johnson, Antonio Brown when he was coming out of college. Not saying that he's going to be those players, but he reminds me of that type of mold of a player where he's going to get the field immediately as a punt returner and a kick returner, and that is going to open up opportunities for him down the road. Justin Jefferson's a dude I really like, and all these dudes are kind of all going in the same spot. And to me, while I like T. Higgins and I think he could be a baller, I feel like I like the upside of all those other guys more. And so for that reason, Higgins is most likely not going to end up on any of my teams where I have late first, early second picks, just because I like these other wide receivers that are probably going to be there more than him.
I could not. So Ethan, I love you. You know this. I could not disagree more about T. Higgins.
Well, we can just be wrong. That's
I
okay.
would absolutely
both
take,
right.
I would absolutely take him over all of the wide receivers you mentioned, bar Justin Jefferson, because I think I'm probably higher on Justin Jefferson than I am on maybe any other receiver in this class not named CeeDee Lamb. But I just love Higgins. Look, I mean, he has, he's a super highly rated recruit coming out of high school. He performs at an elite level for one of the best college programs in the nation. He shows up in big games, makes ridiculous catches. His catch radius, his high pointing of the football. I love everything about T. Higgins, minus potentially his short distance speed. But it didn't seem to bother him in big games against elite cornerbacks. I mean, it's not like he was a guy that disappeared when he was facing elite competition. So now, granted, he had pretty decent quarterbacks throwing in the football in college. But I really like Higgins. I think
pretty
he can
decent.
jump.
Trevor Lawrence is a freak, dude.
No, I agree. Yeah, and
Deshaun,
sure, and Deshaun Watson
decent.
and Deshaun Watson before him. So
Decent.
Yeah, he had
on,
pretty
man.
decent. Okay, that's not the point.
Pretty
though.
decent.
I mean, he had
Deshaun Watson, top 5 dynasty quarterback right now. Trevor Lawrence, arguably a top 5 quarterback prospect of all time. It's fine.
and those guys and those guys without T. Higgins aren't as high on those lists. I absolutely believe that.
For the analytics people, I don't know if you mentioned that, Har. You mentioned a lot of positives for T. Higgins, but the breakout age. I mean, that's a good old correlation for success in the NFL. So there's that as well.
I'll add, and I just, again, it's hard because I feel like everyone's evaluated correctly right now.
Sure,
and we'll see.
sure.
If T. Higgins is going in the middle of the first after the NFL draft, then I might be a little bit uglier on him. Same thing with like a Jalen Reagor or Denzel Mims. If he's going at 6 overall, probably out on most of these wide receivers if they get a huge bump. But Donovan Peoples-Jones is a dude that I can't get myself to like him. And normally I fall in love with these dudes that are athletic freaks. He's going kind of into the second, early third. He didn't do anything in college. And so you look at a guy that's a freak athlete, you expect him to do something in college, and he just couldn't put it together. We can talk about, quarterback play. We can talk about offensive scheme. We can talk about a whole bunch of things. But if you're a freak athlete in college, you should be able to pop more than what Donovan Peoples-Jones is. But I still think T. Higgins is my answer. And Brian, me and Brian, we do shows together all the time. We agree on a lot of stuff, but we disagree on some stuff too. That's all right. Like, I'm not going to take it to heart. Like I said, I think T. Higgins is in that group with those dudes. I just prefer them all over him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think for me, the guy, and this might surprise a lot of people. So I'm obviously a big Penn State guy. If you haven't heard, I live 6.4 miles from Beaver Stadium.
Don't forget the point 4.
If you didn't know, you now know. And the guy for me. So the guy for me, and I was talking with Zach in the chat a little bit, but so he brought up KJ Hamler, and KJ Hamler's a guy for me that I have some question marks I have some question marks. I think he would have benefited from staying in school for another year, and not selfish me, like good for him, going to the National Football League, getting paid, all of that, good for him. But he reminds me a lot of Tavon Austin. Extremely great college production, a lot of manufactured touches in the Penn State offense, and he's a really, really small dude. Like, so I'm worried about durability. You know, I'm worried about. I'm not sure that he's. What are we laughing about now? Did I grab the mic again? Am I? What's happening right now?
That is the goat.
Your co-host, man. James
6 miles from Beaver, Brian Harstory. Beautiful, James. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So, anyways, KJ Hamler. I'm probably not as high on him as I am on most Penn State players. So just take that for what it's worth. And I'll call it a night. Not a night. We're breaking the record. I'll call that a wrap on this
I'm
subject.
surprised Gabe didn't immediately stop the pod.
Just eject him.
We're calling that a night. Done. Over.
Oh God.
Fucking James.
Damn.
For what it's worth, with KJ Hamler, I'm in agreement with you, Har, and it's not that I hate Hamler. I'm not much of a fan of what he does. Obviously, he's super fast, but I don't like him at the catch point, which bothers me. And the fact that I'm pretty confident that I can get Lynn Bowden. And again, it's my bias showing through too. But Lynn Bowden, the player, I think specifically when you watch a lot of his stuff that he did just in 2018 with the ball in his hands, not to mention what he did in 2019. I think that I'd rather have him even in that range, or be able to trade back half a round to get him versus take Hamler where I would have to. I think, and I don't know if that'll stay or what it looks like, but yeah, I'm with you in the Hamler camp, or not Hamler camp, I guess. Harp. So the points on that one go to Ethan. The chat shouted out Ethan the most. There were a couple of votes for others, but Ethan gets the points there. So Ethan, $100 to you, sir.
That's right.
Ethan, I'm really proud of you,
This ain't
man.
doctor money, but
Hey, I voted for Gabe. I'll be honest. I threw Gabe some love because he answered that question beautifully, I thought.
I got to go back to the two-hand grab here.
Thanks.
Har and I have the exact same mic setup, but for
Thank
some
you.
reason his always looks more obstructed than mine does. I don't know how he has that thing set up, but it's always just like up near his face. And that cracks me up, dude. Like he grabs that thing like it owes him money or something. It's ridiculous.
It does owe me money. It costs me money, bro.
If you don't freaking pay up.
oh my gosh.
All right, fine. Wait.
Yo.
Ethan, the choice
All
is
right,
yours,
can
sir.
you hear me now? I'm gonna keep that shit off the screen, bro. Look, we're going PG in this mother.
Beep, beep.
What are my choices? Jim,
We've unlocked Har.
on these picks.
You can go. Sorry. So 3 have been taken. So 100 and 500 for Bridge So Big are taken. Bridge So Big, and 100 for open bar bets. So you have any of the others under open bar bets or Bridge So Big.
We're averaging about 25 minutes a question here.
Yeah,
so
let's
we're
do
getting close to breaking the
one-word
record.
answers, J.
Let's
Mike.
just-
It's okay.
Oh, man, let's hit the $500 open bar bet. I'm curious to see what this bad boy is going to look like. I'm sad that we couldn't bust this whole. We could have done this the whole time, still broke the record. So I'm kind of bummed that we didn't open with this. But then again, we couldn't get Brian to show up. He kept going to the bathroom, so it's ridiculous.
It's true.
So this is easy for one-word answers. How many wide receivers go in the first round of the 2020 NFL Draft?
5.
Okay, Kamish has 5.
I'll go 4.
4 for Harvin.
That's probably where I'm at too. But yeah,
I'm going to go 4 as well. I'm going to go 4.5 just to absolutely screw. No, but I think it's either going to be 4 or 5. I'm going to guess 4.
Going $1, Drew. $1.
One of these dudes is going to drop into the early second, I think.
so Judy, Lamb, Ruggs, Jefferson? Would that be
Yeah.
the 4 for sure?
Or I would pick.
And then
for
we're
sure.
unsure about like Higgins, Rager.
I think
Mims.
Mims. I think Mims is the dude
Mims,
that could
okay.
sneak in at the end there. Just because I think the size speed combo is gonna. A lot of teams are gonna be hyped on that, and he's the only one I've seen. Rager, I think, is pretty well. If he'd have run a 4.22, then yeah, he would have. Or he says he ran a 4.22, but I don't think he did. But he would have snuck into the first. I think he's going to fall to the second. Mims is right on the border, like last 4 picks of the round. He could go somewhere in there. Green Bay is an option for Mims, I think.
A lot of commish shout outs here in the chat. He jumped
Love
out
you.
there with his
Love you
answer the quickest. So commish with that come up, 500 bones.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Bridge so big. Talk about,
Come on. Come on.
bridges.
Although we'll say Casey.
I mean, I forfeit if he's involved in this because, I mean, look at the man. This is not, I mean, he's a beast and he's got animals on the wall. Oh my God, dude.
Don't.
Holy shit.
Don't.
I'm out. I quit. I forfeit.
Sometimes you gotta
Ryan,
know.
you freaking cut this crap out. Gabe is like hovering over the freaking stop pod. He's like, I'm going to screw these guys again. Missed it by a minute, not to miss it by 2 minutes. Brian,
that would be
no bathroom
hilarious.
breaks allowed.
Yo,
You're
no.
at critical moments. But I did watch Kamish just freaking flex his muscles, and that was more manly than any of the meat we were talking about earlier. So
One of my strategies was going to be push-ups on every 30-minute, increment just to keep the blood flow. But I think we're good, man. We're still rolling.
dude, we're rolling.
Is
We got 4 hours going.
We're 25 minutes out from the record, guys. 25 minutes.
Shout out to you, Griff and Ethan. For I believe McGriff. I'm not for certain here, but I believe that you two have not gotten up this entire time.
Boss.
Dude, I stood right here. I got a bladder of steel.
Fucking discriminating against small bladders. I mean, what the hell is happening in here?
Well, dude, I know that you've been holding your mic all night. Like,
Hey.
You know, I mean,
And then you can't just grab it again and then like defend your point. It's not gonna work, bro.
that Brian Haar is such a handy man.
He's still on.
Check my inbox and what do I see?
Or giving another handy.
And so now,
He's an addict with his hands. It's kind of creeping me out.
And back to our illustrious board.
Remix.
oh my god.
So it's up to you, Commish. Again, the 1s and 5s for open bar bets and bridge so big are done. So any of the 2, 3s, or 4s under either one of those.
Let's go bridge so big for 400, please.
Bridge so big.
Got it.
Which 2020 rookie QB is most likely to get a starting job, but inevitably become a bridge to the next QB for a franchise? So basically,
Spice.
which of these quarterbacks are probably going to be taken, not be too fantastic, and they'll actually get their shot at some point and poop the bed in a major way?
Could
Oh
you
my God.
give us an example of a player that's happened to?
Blake Bortles.
Josh Rosen.
That was who I was thinking of. I was just making sure I understood
Maybe
the question.
it could even be Dwayne Haskins if he's not careful.
Bless his heart.
True.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Curtis
I
Payne.
think Dwayne is lucky that the Redskins are 2 overall, and just obviously have to take Chase Young. Assuming that the Bengals take Burrow, but I think they talked Redskins about a QB possibility, but yeah, they have to do Chase Young. I think. I don't know. The odds say, the better say. Anyway, that's not about that. What's good? The QBs. Who are they?
Ooh,
I don't
Jason
know.
McCoy, he hit us with Mariota. That
Yeah,
makes
but
me
we're
sad,
doing
but yeah.
rookies.
No.
Yeah,
He's
He's
giving an
saying
example.
Mariota as an example.
Right, exactly.
Man,
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
But it's true.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
he at
I'd
least
put, like,
he
Bortles in
surged
this
though
group.
for a bit. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
with you on
could
that,
technically
James.
put
That was my player there. Jordan Love would
Jameis,
fit that
yep, Jameis
mold
would fit.
for me
Yep.
as far as a rookie QB.
I don't know if there's a quarterback in this class that has Bridge assigned to him or attached to him more than like a Jake Fromm. You could picture
Yeah.
Jake getting a job at some point in time, but it would be like out of a team necessity, an injury, something like that. But he is not long for it. I can't imagine him sustaining a job like that. So it feels too easy. I'm looking like at a list of quarterbacks who I think get drafted. Trying to get a little.
I think Jacob Eason is a guy that I could see starting early. I mean, he's not going to be a guy that I think a team's going to be their first choice to start. But you look at a team like say, for example, I'm trying to think of a team that needs a quarterback but doesn't really have one right now. I mean, Jacob Eason, if he goes to like the Colts, could he eventually win that job? If the Colts start playing bad, they need to see how he plays, and he comes in, he's okay, but he's really not the answer. Jacob Eason or Jordan Love, but I think Eason kind of is set for like somebody that could go to like the Patriots for a year, and then the team just doesn't perform, and then they end up with a higher pick, and they get, obviously they move him to the side. I mean, we could see that with Stidham this year. We don't know, but Easton's kind of on that cusp where I feel like he's probably a second round pick. And I think if he gets an opportunity, he could put some decent starts up, but he's probably not going to be a full-time answer for anybody.
Yeah, I agree, Ethan. I think Eason is the one here. I mean, he's a guy that teams are going to fall in love with the size and the arm talent. But when it comes to decision making, he's shown that he's not, he has a lot of work to do in that area. So he's a guy that'll get the opportunity early because of, again, size and arm talent, but the decisions will cause him to turn the ball over quite a bit, which will, get him yanked pretty quickly. So I think Eason is the easy answer here.
And that's what I think with Jordan Love too, as far as the decision making. I mean, and I guess it's a matter of who might be drafted higher, I guess, or where he's drafted and where you can kind of plug and play immediately, or with after an injury, or with a coaching change, whatever kind of thing. Man, that's weird how all three of those guys they're oddly very similar, fitting that category, J. Mike.
For sure. And even let me just throw this out there as a bomb, if you will. Are we super sure House Burrow and House Tagovailoa are like, if you had to have a percentage, like what is their bust percentage for each guy?
To me, I think Tua's is higher because the injury history is obviously a concern. And so a major injury, then the team goes, you know what, this dude he can't stay healthy. We can't make sure that he stays healthy. There's nothing we can do. I think he has the higher risk of being an instant, get him out. But I still think Burrow, I mean, there's going to be people that look at Burrow and say, you know what, this dude wasn't anything. He couldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins at Ohio State. He transferred. He had one great season with an incredible offensive coordinator that ended up going to a different team, got picked up by the NFL because of how great this year, everything kind of came together. He had, 3 elite wide receivers, probably at least 2 first-round talents at wide receiver, good running back. I mean, everything worked for Burrow. But to me, I think Tua is the more likely of the two, just because I think injury could quickly derail his career. I talk about this a lot on our show, just about how we don't talk enough about how these injuries take off years off the end of a guy's career. And so, we've seen it with Andrew Luck. We've seen it with Luke Kuechly. We've seen it with, Travis Frederick. And that's just in the last year. Guys are what used to be, you play as long as you physically can. Now guys are looking at the end of their second contract and going, hey, man, I'm a millionaire. I don't need to keep beating myself up. I'm 30. I've made more money than 99.9% of the population. I'm freaking good. Get me out of here. And so, Tua could be one more injury away from, potentially only having a 5 to 8 year NFL career. And so maybe by the end of that rookie contract, he's going, you know what? I've been banged up twice now. No team really is going to invest huge money in me. I'm sick of getting hurt. I'm sick of going through it. I've made $40 million. I'm done. And so that, I think, is the most, I can see the path to what you just described with Tua.
And one of the things I'm curious of too, and we can move on to the next question, but when we look at these guys, I was just curious how, if any of you would not be a coward and choose either Tua or Burrow. I tried to keep a straight face. I struggle with that. If you stop being a coward and pick one of those top guys, but no, I find this really interesting in terms of because every class that comes in, we have these top guys that we're really excited about, and for good reason, for great reason. But they could be really just high priced bridges, right? They could be really pretty bridges. Like, man, they look real nice. We got so much hope in them, like Mariota and Jameis. We thought the world of them coming out of year 2. Like, okay, these guys can be the future. They're this, that, and then you blink and then they're done. But the other thing too, I was in a YouTube. I don't know if you guys ever get caught up in these YouTube rabbit holes where you see a video and then it leads to the next video that you watch, and then it leads to the next video. And so it was Dan Orlovsky from ESPN who was charting the interceptions for Jordan Love. And it was really interesting because, Gabe, I think you made the point about his decision making. And while he did have the 17 interceptions, like, there were clearly, I forgot how the breakdown went, but it was like 3 of them literally hit a wide receiver in the chest and then flew off and was intercepted. A couple of them were knocked down at the line, and then a couple of them were deflected off of his receiver, like 3 of them off his receiver's hand. So like of his 17, 8 of them went off of his own receivers or were deflected at the line. And obviously every quarterback has those, ones you can explain away, right? But I think that when you look at it in that scope, it's less damning, specifically for what he was in 2018 and how Jekyll and Hyde it looked in 2019. And at least to some degree, even though he was probably still making some boneheaded throws to some degree in 2019, I just found it interesting that of the 17, 8 of them were issues not necessarily of his own, like just being a bad passer, the good old Matt Shaw pick 6 or something like that. I just found that interesting.
Fair.
Being West Coast guy, I watched Jordan Love a lot and Jacob Eason a lot, especially when I was doing Debbie Happy Hour with Ray and Dwight and covering the West. And I'm not a scout, but I watched them way closer than I would anywhere else. And both, it's so funny, they're very, very similar in the fact that big arms, ton of ability. The ceiling is very high, but both make a ton of boneheaded mistakes. They both seem to always stare down their number one target instead of do their progression and read through defenses and what the defense is giving them. They both got a lot of growing to do. But I like to play the GM hat. We all do this. If you're going to be a GM and have to really reach on a Jordan Love, and if he's going to have to go, say, top 15, top 18, something like that, I think I would be fine taking Eason in the second round, grabbing somebody else, one of these higher end talent guys in the first round, load up my team, taking Eason, because both of them I think need to sit. So I don't know if we've completely derailed this category with bridge, rookie quarterbacks, whatever. I love both of their upside. I think they both have potential to be starters in this league, but I think both have growing to do in the meantime. So it would be good if they could sit somewhere behind Breeze in New Orleans, or even Phillip Rivers in Indy, right? Some of these spots would be better for them. I hope neither one of them have to start a game this year, just for their own long-term value.
I'm with you
doubt.
100% on that. I don't think they're ready at all this year. I think there could be something there for both of those players. Love more so for me. I think there are some good things going for him, but not yet. I don't know.
Okay. Kamish, I think you get the points again, man.
Hey,
my goodness! And didn't you just take 400 under open bar bets, or was that something? No, that was bridge QBs, wasn't it? I can't.
400 for bridge, yeah.
I can't keep up at this point. I should have wrote it down. I've been writing it down and I wasn't tracking.
I should have been writing this down. Looks down. He's been writing it down.
I've been writing
it anymore.
I can't keep
Things
it
are getting
together.
ugly.
Home stretch, baby. yeah. So pick something. More bets and bridge, just not the 1 or 5, and we'll see if we've done it already.
Did we do open bar bets for 4?
I think that's what you did, but we'll check. Nope, we haven't. Yes.
Okay,
Rango.
look at this. Oh, this is my favorite one already.
Hey, zoom in there a little bit so y'all can get the real nice view. Rank 'em. Rank 'em.
Man, this is
I like that. Can we do that again?
Boom.
That little riff.
No, sorry.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna
for
release
those
your
that are
I'm gonna
listening to this
release
in-
your lost tapes someday, just so the people know. I'm gonna release.
Nah,
them.
man.
I
Nah,
will
man.
someday. It might be
Yes.
it might be years down the road, but I'm going because I have to
Hey.
first accumulate the lost tapes, but I will. And
You've seen them though. You've seen footage. You do
I
know
know.
that they exist.
no, that's
He's
what I'm
gonna be going-
saying. Oh, the lost tapes, bro. I could already go with it. Yeah.
You could conspire with Kelly.
could,
Y'all
Don't
the
cross
worst.
me.
poor,
The worst.
poor,
Yeah.
poor
So,
Gabe. He's going to be going through this episode like, all right, J Make sang for about 3 seconds. This is a 3-hour show. What 3 seconds were they?
Yeah,
Let's go into the
hey,
whole thing.
so we're cracking 3 hours. There's no doubt about it.
That seems a little bold for me. I'm just good for the record at this point. I gotta-
Ethan, it's 19 minutes
I
and
gotta
45 seconds. You have it.
I gotta
you're good.
go. I got to work in the morning.
All right. Almost-
We still have to do outros, and outros last like 40 minutes. So
Okay, we're
I
good.
mean-
well, this
We're
can,
good.
this if need be, this can be the last one because we're at what 240 and 30 seconds. So I mean, we're closing in. We're closing in. As long as you guys finish strong, we're good.
If this ends and somehow doesn't work out in the favor that we have made sure that it is going to work out, I am driving to Cincinnati tomorrow.
yeah.
And I am driving to somewhere in Texas or wherever Gabe is the next day. And we're meeting. You will meet Meatloaf Wildcat in the flesh.
Have you ever met a Meatloaf Wildcat?
You
It's
will-
freaking crazy. Okay? It's
a
wild.
little bit.
So for those listening in podcast form, we've got the picture up here. It's basically rank them. Again, this is under the open bar bets for hundo. We've got a picture of the top 5 running backs. The consensus, I think, top 5 running backs. We've got Taylor, we've got Swift, we've got Akers, we've got Dobbins, and we've got CEH. So yeah, it looks like we've got some answers in the chat already, and obviously we get it, guys. Some of you in the chat, hey, it depends on landing spot. We get it. We're having fun right here. This is basically how do they look to you as of now, for how you see these guys going. So what are your all's thoughts?
I think the easy answer is Jonathan Taylor at 1. And I feel like actually the last time I was on the open bar, we really dove into could Jonathan Taylor surpass Swift as the 1. So this was pretty taking it over. I still love DeAndre Swift's ability to stay on the football field for the entirety of that offense being on the field, less being tired, less getting, whatever, a rotation. I don't know. Obviously, I kind of get swayed by some of the mocks that I see. So to make this short and sweet, I'm going to stick to my own guns, my own breakdown, and I still go Swift, Taylor, Akers, Dobbins, CEH. I actually think CEH has the some of the best ability to become like an Austin Eckler. I've called him in the past to Ray Rice, where he could be super valuable out of the backfield and score more points that way. I'm afraid what happens to Jonathan Taylor is he gets in a Nick Chubb role when it seems glorious and you can't wait for him to rush the ball 25 times a game, but then it turns into 15 carries a game, and then somebody behind him like Kareem Hunt's getting 4 to 5 carries and 6 to 8 receptions, and it just limits his upside. So I truly like the as Ray GQ has coined it, the 3-down threat, the TDTs, and that's why I still got Swift as my favorite running back in this class.
Just to clarify real quick, Kamish, you said Swift, JT, Dobbins, Akers, CEH. Was that right?
Akers, Dobbins, CEH.
Akers, Dobbins.
Akers,
My bad. Got you.
And this is tough.
And
'cause I feel
Harvin, you
like
see yours here.
I-
Sorry. Go ahead. E.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I think you go the top two are pretty well locked in. I'm a Taylor guy myself. I just feel like he is the way he's held up in college, given the workload, is very reminiscent of other very elite running backs that have been able to hold up in the NFL. One thing that I think, I think he gets a knock on not being a pass catcher, but when I was doing my injury histories for these players, I came across a blurb from last offseason, and it basically was an interview that Taylor had done where basically he said, I know I'm not as good at catching footballs. I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to get better at it. And then you see last season, I think he caught 20-something passes. And so to me, that says a lot about him as a player. He recognized like, hey, NFL teams want me to be able to catch the ball. Maybe it's not my best skill. And he was open about it. And he said, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to get better. And then he did that. And so I think that carries a lot of weight from me personally, because he recognizes that he isn't a 100% complete bell cow yet, but he's willing to put in the work to do that. And I think he's going to, similar to a guy like Zeke, as he continues to progress, you're going to continue to see him get opportunities in the pass game. And then it becomes, he's not the greatest pass catcher on the planet, but he's going to give you enough to be an elite running back. And so I'm going to go Taylor first. I'm going to go with Swift because I do think he still is. Right now, he's the best, the total package. You're not worried about him catching the ball. He's clearly talented. I mean, he's pushing running backs that, he's pushing running backs, basically NFL quality running backs out of the rotation so that he can get touches. That tells me a lot. And then I'm going to go Dobbins here. I mean, I think Dobbins and Akers, it's a known versus maybe an upside, potential. So I'm going to go Dobbins though. I think he is a good athlete, even though he didn't test. I still think he showed coming out of high school, he was a great athlete. Typically guys don't get ridiculously slow all of a sudden while playing college football. I think he might have been slower than he wanted. That's why he didn't test. But I still think that it's Dobbins and then Akers and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. While I think he is going to be a good running back, I am much more concerned about him being the one-year wonder as opposed to a Joe Burrow or a Justin Jefferson or someone else from that offense. I feel like Helaire really benefited from having elite weapons all around him. And then he really kind of put it together in the pass game. But I don't think he's got the upside as those other four guys do. So that's the group that I'm going to go.
And please forgive me real quick, E. I was too busy typing up a response here to James, chatting it up here in the chat. You had JT Swift, and how did you have the last three ordered?
It's Taylor Swift, Dobbins, Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me.
Gotcha. Cool. And see, and I think somebody said earlier that they felt like the ranks were boring. I think it was Spaceman. I think Spaceman said it. He said he said boring ranks now, but at one point it wasn't. And this is the thing that I still find so fascinating is that even in our Superflex leagues, a lot of people are willing to take the running backs over the quarterbacks, which is cool. Obviously, go whatever route you want to go. So I still think that specifically in your Superflex leagues, we're still going to see a lot of variation at the top of the draft, at the top of our drafts. So if you're sitting on anything within like the top 6 to 7 picks, literally we're talking about, even if you want to kick CEH out of the group because a lot of people don't feel like he is deserving, okay, do whatever you want to do. But we're still talking about the top 2 quarterbacks. We're talking about those 4 running backs, and as high as everyone is on either CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, like you're getting really, 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 really good players still in these instances. So man, those picks are nice spots. Gabe, I'm curious. You haven't given a ton of rookie talk over the last several weeks. Do you want to weigh in real quick and take us, help us run past our finish line here? Because I just saw where we hit the 2-hour 48-minute mark.
Are we making history right now? I mean, we can basically add in the 30 seconds and the 10 seconds. This is it. I could press stop right now and we'd still get this hardy hard.
So mad.
We got it, son. Don't worry. We wrote Wildcat. Come on. Hey. Look, the champ is here. Yeah, I'm gonna try to supersize him too. Yeah. Take it.
come on. Yes.
Oh, and the mic
love you,
grab,
Russ.
too.
Wait. Hold on. I got
Okay.
Go-
Yeah.
Dude, this
yeah.
is going to be tough. He's going to have to put the belt on so he can grab that mic with both hands.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
two-handed this mic right now.
boy. Oh boy.
We got this.
Take a snap.
We got this. One more time with the arms there.
We got
Hard,
it.
Hardy heart. Yeah, buddy. We got you. All right.
The standard is the standard.
It's the standard.
Look,
Oh,
God, does that feel good?
we can
2 hands and everything.
2 hands and everything.
I can't wait for this record to get broken next week, and then Har's just sitting,
I'll be
sitting on the
be back.
I know,
Superflex
just-
show,
just-
just like,
just
are
wait.
you freaking kidding me?
Wait until Russ hears about this, man. You thought he was done? You thought he was retired? Bro, he's gonna force himself onto next week's show, man.
That wouldn't surprise me, forcing himself on people.
Oh my God.
Oh my. All right, so my running back rankings. Rookie, yeah. I don't know. It sucks to go last on something like this because you pretty much have
Love you, Rob.
all the variations there.
Make a case, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, number 1 running back. Go.
I know that's like the only fire take I could go, but I can't because I love Jonathan Taylor way too much. He'd be like my 101 the past 3 years. So he's way too fire. And I think he's in a tier in his own, really, for me. And I just think it's the ability to be a like literal top 5 running back that we see in the NFL now. One of those few guys that can do it, that can put the carries in, that can now, hopefully put some catches on as well. And I'm just not sure if those other 4 running backs are going to be used in that nature. And I really have Jonathan Taylor in his own tier. And then I would put Swift and Akers in kind of a second tier. And Swift is fine. Like, I'm totally satisfied with it. And it's a very, very, close jump between these tier 1 and tier 2. But man, people were tripping on Akers this year. And I don't think it was because of it's like a box score assessment or something, because we know what the offensive line has been. And I mean, for like years, it seemed he was the 101 in Devi, and we're forgetting about that. And I don't know. So I have Akers 3 there. Swift is fine at 2, I suppose. And then I would put fuck it, Helaire at 4. What was he, like 5 and all on everyone's ranks or something? So I can put him at 4 and put Dobbins at 5. I don't know, but they would be in the next tier essentially for me. So but man, how spoiled are we to just kind of have that these 5 running backs to hopefully choose on and just hit no matter what, which certainly is not going to be the case, but
Right.
it feels that way right now. Like,
Just wait till somebody I keep saying it. I hope Zach Moss gets one of the primo spots and he just pushes some of these other dudes
Yeah,
on the board or
right.
whoever else.
Yeah, that would be devastating for me because I'm not a Zach Moss guy. So I would be pretty upset about that. But you know what? You got to be able to adjust. So if he lands in a primo spot, maybe I would become a Zach Moss guy. Don't get take lock right now, people. That's the best advice I can give you, because you get stuck. You get stuck even in these rankings that we just gave. If you get stuck in these rankings, you're probably going to be wrong, because this NFL draft changes everything. I mean, it's the most important part of the process. So, we'll have to see. It'll be a weird draft for sure. Somebody is going to get one of these running backs is probably going to get screwed landing spot wise.
yeah,
And don't get stuck in your takes, because I've seen it over and over again. You get stuck in your take, then you end up with Darrell Henderson sitting behind Todd Gurley for a year, and you take him in the first round of your rookie draft at the end of the first round, and you thought you were getting a running back that you could build around, and instead you got nothing for a whole year, and you may have won a championship, but then you didn't because you took Darrell Henderson. Don't be like that.
Talk about it.
But now you probably feel at least better about that. I mean, unfortunately, I think people, if I was going to make any sort of like comp, not player wise necessarily, but just like situation wise that I could potentially see is CEH, as far as like landing behind a player like Todd Gurley, like CEH going to like the Cowboys or something weird like that in the second or third round. And I don't know. Where's CH going mocking? Like third round probably? Or is he hitting second?
Actual NFL drafts, you mean?
Yeah,
I've seen
actual.
him to the
actual.
Steelers
I've
actually
seen
in
him in the
49.
Yeah, I've seen him in the second
Okay.
to the Falcons. Day 2. I mean, it's
That'd be
either
funny if he
second-
landed behind Gurley again. Like that could literally happen. Yeah. So
Guys, this is really heavy.
Take it off. Take it off. Take it off. You're the champ with or without it right now. Take it off. Take it off.
It's good for building drafts up, man.
That's
We'll
probably
split.
like a
We'll split.
genuine replica because
It is.
Brian actually
Looks
does
legit.
know like the dude
Yes.
who makes the actual belts that you see on TV. So
I do.
that's probably legit.
I do. It is.
Very nice.
It's legit. I got it from him.
That's
I'll tell
nice,
you
man.
that story can be part of the next record-breaking episode of the Open Bar. Whenever that happens.
tune in
down the
next
road.
week for the record breaking.
This episode is just a bridge to next week's episode. Bridge.
Hey,
so big.
Bridge
This-
so
this-
big.
This is the best bridge episode of all time.
For Bird.
Come on. Pour one out for Berg. That's right.
Hey, we called Tom Brady a bridge QB earlier, so we can call this the Tom Brady of all episodes here, Har, and make you
Yes.
feel that type of way.
I'm getting all of the feels right now.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm going with that statement right there, too.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I just put to,
Grab that mic one more time.
We got
Two
hopefully
hands.
I mean,
now
business.
that we've got this adjusted, hopefully we'll be able to bust out some more Jeopardy in the future. Not every week, but I think it was
Yeah,
a
now
nice
you
little.
got it, J Mike.
That was great, J. Mike. Thank you for
I
the,
love that.
Super
the
cool.
effort that was put into that. Yeah, that was awesome.
I just wish all my animations and anyway, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That's good. That made me happy. So yeah, here we are. We're likely with the outros, we're gonna pass 3 hours. So
Okay.
I know everybody's got to work and everything else in the morning, myself included. McGriff's got to get to his second dinner so he can bust out 50 more push-ups.
Right.
Oh, speaking of McGriff, I one of my open bar bets was an ADP push-up question, but we'll have to save it. I'm gonna have to put it in the chamber for next time.
Heyo.
In the chamber. But I want to shout out a couple people before we depart as well. And I know again we'll get to outros, but to the chat, man, specifically James. And James, you have to tell me how to say your last name. Is it Chris? How do you say it? I need to know. But James, Kenny Pops, they basically were in here, and Casey as well. Those are at least 3 people that I know that were in here from the jump 3 hours ago.
Zach was in here a
and-
while too, wasn't he? I didn't even see him leave.
Oh, no question. I mean, if I went through here and shouted out,
Oh,
so
we could
Big
shout out and wait. What
Yeah.
am I doing? Never mind.
you're acknowledging the chat.
He's acknowledged. Yes, this is
fucking
an
hate when I do
absolutely
that.
record-breaking
Oh.
episode.
No question. So to everybody, Gunther popped in here in the 12th hour, man. Appreciate you, Gunth. Top Gunth. It's pronounced Crease. Let it be known from henceforth. Crease, James Crease. We got you, James.
My name is my name.
Put some respect on it. Then everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being with us on such a momentous occasion. We set out to break the record. We set out to have a dope pod. We set out to have fun and enjoy each other's company, and we did just that and some. It wasn't forced. It wasn't a case where we were like dragging, like, man, what time is it sucks. And you guys kept it lit in the chat. We had such a good time. So thank you all. Spaceman, I saw you up in here as well. Everybody, Aton, it was so many people. I know I shouldn't start shouting out people because you'll always forget somebody. Someone will be upset. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Such a good night. Anyway, Gabe, sorry. Go ahead.
It's perfect. Now do the same thing for everyone. The 4 people that were on the show tonight.
I eventually get to that, but I wanted to do the outros first.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Meatloaf Wildcat, the champ
out.
himself. You are first to say what you need to say to absolutely whomever.
Yes. So before I say my piece, I just want to thank Jay, Mike, and Gabe for the opportunity to come on here and break this record. You guys literally are the best. I can't say that enough. I don't think there's anybody in the chat, in the Twitterverse, anywhere that know the two of you and don't think that you're the two best people out there. So thank you for being you. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. This was a lot of fun, as it always is every single Tuesday night. You can find my work at DLF. I'm at Brian Har FF on Twitter. I'm half of the team at Trade Addicts podcast, at Trade Addicts Pod on Twitter. I'm also a part of the Superflex Super Show at Superflex Show. I always screw that up, but I got it right this time, Ethan. There you go. See, I'm growing. So check us out on Twitter and check our shows out if you can. But thank you guys for letting me be a part of this. This was a great group tonight too. I had a ton of fun as always.
Appreciate you.
Wow.
Man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, for real. Well, and I mean, you know, you and Ethan had the so-called conversation 6 to 8 months ago, but I know you've been festering for maybe even before Russ broke the record. I think just like it was in there somewhere. So I just want to say I'm proud of you, man. You did it.
Thank you. That means as much as this title belt right here.
Yeah.
Probably more so, to be honest. So I appreciate you, Gabe. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. McGriff, Deltron, AD, push-ups, the man, wrestling bears, the bear necessities. Let's go, dude. Come on.
Man. No, hey, look, just like Har, appreciate you guys so much. This is, easily the best day of the week. Grinding out work and get to come in here and hang out with you fellas. The chat, I love the chat. I love to chop it up in there and BS and chime in and give my 2 cents always. But even much more of a better time jumping on here, hanging with you guys, and especially being part of a record-breaking night. I want to thank my family, thank God, thank everybody that made this possible. This is, I finished 4th last year in the Scott Fish Bowl. This is right up there with that, man. This is easily one of my greatest fantasy feats right here. No, I love it. I got to meet Brian, got to meet Ethan in person. Finally, love chopping up with you, Jay, Mike, and Gabe, man. You guys are the best, and there's nothing like coming on here. So I'm at Commissioner McGriff on Twitter. Currently writing for DLF. Been over there for a couple months now. Had a little bit of a lull, but I'll be back in the saddle and getting more content out, especially with the draft hitting next week. Super stoked about. And you can follow me on there, or that's where you can find my stuff.
We know it takes a lot out of you to wrestle bears. So, I mean, you get a couple articles out, wrestle a bear, get that skull,
Come
and then,
a 3-hour pod.
Yeah. Recharge, rinse, repeat.
It's a whole process of life. I look at it like you need protein to live, but you need to also exert that energy and train. So it's like the Khabib not gonna met off like kind of mentality. Wrestle bear, eat it, find more bear, wrestle that, kill that.
Find more bear.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Sleep on a bear rug and call it a day.
I feel like you can just slam the dinner table. More bear.
McGriff is my spirit animal.
These are the facts.
Mine's a meatloaf wildcat. That's my spirit animal.
I don't know. I can just picture that like meat, like just like a loaf of meat and then just like slapped onto a cat. I can just picture that meatloaf. Like it seems like the most realistic one. Like I really liked Pasta Bake Thunderhawk as like possibly the most fired name ever. Just like beautiful. But man, that just sounds real. Okay.
Too real.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. Whoa. On to our hold on. So I want to discuss something real quick, Jamie.
6 hours later.
What was it? Is that SpongeBob? 6 hours later.
Well, it got me thinking about when Berg was asterisked for leaving early. Shout out to Berg, by the way. Thank you for coming on for 2/3 of this momentous occasion. But he was asterisked. Now, guys, do we have to asterisk Ethan as well for technically being late-ish. Or is he in the clear?
Whoa. Hold.
He said, "Whoa."
Have you seen me get up? I have recorded. We have this recorded. I have not gotten up from this chair once.
Oh,
If
okay.
anybody deserves, me and McGriff have freaking powered through this. There is a puddle under my chair.
Ethan,
I have
listen.
not gotten. No,
Listen. No,
Brian
you
has
listen.
taken
You
no
listen.
less
Did
than
you piss
8
in
bathroom
bottles?
break-
Did you piss
8
in bottles?
8 bathroom breaks.
Did you piss
we
in bottles? I
gonna have
pissed in bottles.
We're gonna have to do the math here because
I pissed in
Meatloaf-
bottles.
Meatloaf Wildcat. If we do the math, Meatloaf Wildcat is not even close to hitting 3 hours on the show. He might not have broken the record yet
Well, let's go on to the
because
next
of how much
subject.
time he spent in the bathroom during this show. We got me on camera for 3 hours. So if anybody needs an asterisk, it's the faux pas champion over there yonder who spent just as much time in the bathroom as we did talking about fantasy football tonight. Okay. So I don't want to hear about no asterisks for me.
I think I have a solution here. We'll take bridge quarterbacks for 200, please, J Mike.
The answer: daily
Hey, that's
double.
why
Daily double.
I wanted to go over. I got the belt, Ethan.
That
Let's
is-
get it.
We
You know what, Ethan? That's an incredible point because we're gonna have to run the tape back. Honestly,
think we
we're
are.
gonna have
But
to.
I pissed in a bottle. Christ.
Hey, we didn't see it, bro. We ain't see it.
Yeah, that's not happening.
You survivor man,
Dude, I'm
outdoorsman, you could
sorry.
drink that bottle.
I'm not pissing in any bottles for you guys, but I do want the record to show if we're
Yep.
throwing out asterisks around
All
here.
right.
That
Ain't no
Ahmad that was
asterisk.
in the seat the whole time. I got up one time to play a joke on J Mike, which was fire joke, which was severely underrated that deserved more laughs. But besides that, if you watch the tape, my butt was in this chair. So
Run the
I
tape
know
back.
the answer is no.
Okay.
The answer is no. I refuse all of your asterisks, and I send them to Brian. And he needs 8 asterisks for how many times he went to the bathroom tonight.
It did. So we are over by 18 minutes right now. I think it did not take me 18 minutes to take a piss. So I'm clearly in the safe
Run the
zone
tape.
for no asterisks.
You're the only one that's going to be willing to watch this whole thing again. So
Ethan,
you watch,
I will
you
smite
watch
you.
the tape, and I
will.
just
Do
like
you
when
want to
you-
get smoked?
just like when you screw
Smoting?
up on the Superflex show, you watch the tape, you tell me where you screwed up, and you tell me how long you screwed up, and we'll do the math. Okay? Can I do an outro, please? I mean, it's midnight, boys. Like,
I was trying
poor
to
Mc-
get there.
poor
to it.
McGriff,
Get
dude.
Congratulate
to
you
it.
on,
He didn't know what he was getting into tonight.
Yeah.
We warned
No,
him, and he's still not totally sure he was ready for this.
He
you
was
might
ready.
you
Look at
might
his
be the
eyes,
you
man.
might be the king. You might be more king than I anticipated. And you know what? I publicly apologize to you, Ethan. Now,
Dude, you
please.
can't throw the fire at me, man. Especially not when I've already had 3 beers. It's
He was ready. He was
the fire
ready.
is
Would
the
have had
fire is burning.
3 beers.
I'm having
He was ready.
3
In
beers.
bottle.
Okay.
Go for it. E.
Actually, 3 beers and a little bit of spiked iced tea.
Oh,
but that's fine.
slap it a bag. All right. Go ahead. Your turn.
All right. Well, obviously, I want to thank you guys, both Gabe and J Mike. You know, I love coming on this show. It's like my favorite show that I do. It's just as good as all the shows that I do that are my shows, but way more fun because I can feel like I'm like right at home here. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Brian for dragging me through 3 hours of show. I really haven't felt like we've been here for 3 hours. But I definitely appreciate him laying the challenge down. I promise you I would not be up this late on most normal work nights, and so I appreciate that. Obviously, I appreciate McGriff. Man, just a freaking wealth of knowledge, this dude. So definitely go follow him. Jay Berg, bless his heart, getting an asterisk, couldn't make it through. Definitely had the most fun of all of us tonight. If you weren't listening to this show, if you got to this point, you should have been listening to the whole show, but definitely go follow that dude. Super talented, probably the most famous dude I know. He's got like 3 Emmys, so definitely go follow him. But You can follow me on Twitter at eTurnerFF_PT. We didn't even really get into my creme de la creme, which is injuries. I'm the injury guy, so we didn't talk about injuries. But I always brag that the thing that makes me different as an injury guy in the fantasy football community is I can ham it up for 3 hours and not talk about injuries the whole time. That's my calling card. I really feel like this is my strength right here, because I'm obsessed about injuries, but I'm also obsessed about fantasy football. And so I got a big project that's dropping next Saturday, the 25th. It is my rookie injury guide. It's the first time I've ever done this as its own publication. It's injury histories for this rookie class. I'm going to drop 100 players next Saturday in a PDF. It's $10. If you pre-order it and use the code open bar, you pre-order it, you send me a DM, say, hey, I want that. I heard you on the open bar. I will give it to you for $10. When it releases next Saturday, it's going to be $12. So you save $2. It is the only place you will find injury histories for these players, offense and defense. And then later in a couple months, I'm going to add another 50 to 100 players. So this is the closest thing that you will get to an NFL medical report on these players. Nobody else does it. You can't get the data anywhere else except for from me. So you're not really paying for the data. You're paying for me to spend 20 to 40 minutes per player to collect their injury history. So, to me, this is the most valuable thing that we have to predict future injuries. It's worth the $10, but check that out. I got videos dropping on YouTube with fantasy headliners, so definitely check those out. I got another one dropping on AJ Green probably sometime this week. And besides that, Superflex show. And I don't have anything else to plug, so that's pretty much it. But definitely go check out that rookie guide, because it is my magnum opus. It's unlike anything else that you can buy. It will complement any draft guide that you buy. My guide will complement it beautifully. It'll be new information that you're not going to get from those guides, so it's worth it.
Wow.
That's legit.
That's it right there. I had no idea. And well, for one, I have a few things to say here, so we're going to be here a while. But this is great.
This shit out.
This is great. It's a bit unfair for you to just be able to watch these NFL games through like an MRI of sorts, or whatever that technology is to, and you're the only one on the planet with this technology. So is it unfair? Yes. But where can you get it? Right here. And he gave us the code, the open bar. Dude,
Come
are
on.
you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
You send me a DM on Twitter. You message me. My DMs are open. You slide in. You say, heard you on the open bar. I want this bad boy. $10. You save $2, which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, for the number of hours I put in this, $2 means a big deal. That's a lot to me. So it's definitely worth it. And, I think that again, you can't find it anywhere else. So it's worth spending the $10 just to have it. Because it's one more advantage. We're talking about minuscule differences between these players. To just highlight it, injury history was the difference for me personally between drafting Christian McCaffrey over Leonard Fournette. That has paid off very, very well. It was the difference between drafting Nick Chubb over Sony Michel. That has paid off very, very well. And so it makes a huge difference. If you got two guys that you're trying to compare, and you don't have this injury data, you can't use it. So you might as well get it. I've done the work for you. I've analyzed it for you through the eyes of a doctor. And you can't get that anywhere else. So yes, it is a disadvantage to everybody else because I get to just look at it and know, but I'm giving you that info. So definitely go check that out.
Agreed. Hands down. That's great, dude. That is really actually very, very cool. One other thing, because I haven't been able to, we was it last time that we had you on that Ethan's ladder came up?
And yeah, I was at my parents' house because my internet was not set up yet. I am now at my home.
Okay. Well, okay. first of all, I'm proud of you for moving out of your mom's house.
I wasn't living with my mom. I just hadn't had the internet set up yet.
Ethan, I'm
Go
just
easy
kidding.
on
I
me,
love you.
dog.
All right, I'm kidding. I love you. But I gotta zoom in on the cam here. No. This is good. This is good. We could have done this after hours, but we're here, so why the fuck not? This is for Har to extend the record. The Scrabble board. The Scrabble board.
Scrabble board. Yeah.
I love Scrabble. Okay. I've
Okay.
been playing with my brothers for a very long time, and we're very intense about it. Do you have an affinity for it as well?
I do. So my wife and I are very avid board game players. I won't say that we play Scrabble as often as some other games, but that was actually what that is. And you can't see it from how far away it is, but basically that's an antique Scrabble board that I bought. It is from probably the 40s or 50s. I don't know exactly when it came out, and I don't want to pull it out of the frame. But basically, my second anniversary with my now wife, I made her this board. And so all of the words on it are callbacks to things that we did in the second year of dating. So we went to like museums is on there. So it actually, the boards on there mean something too. And then what I did was I took, when you print out photos at like a CVS or whatever, they give you like little baby mini versions of those, and they were perfectly sized for the pieces. And so you can't see it, but there are actually many photos from our second year. Like if you're up in it, you can see many photos of our second year of dating. Also on that board. I put that thing together, gave it to her for our anniversary. Anyone who's ever seen my wife knows that she is way hotter than I am. So these are the types of things when people ask me, like, hey dude, how did you, being not very good looking, end up with smoking hot smoke show wife? And then I refer back to things like this. You go over the top for, and all of a sudden you look pretty great too. So that's what that is. But yeah, it is a Scrabble board. Yeah, that's a good call. I'm surprised you could see that.
Well, and now, Ethan, you can add to your repertoire longest open bar episode of all time, baby.
Dude,
Yeah, I'm a doctor. Whatever. I'm smooth. Whatever. Longest episode of all time.
Yeah, being a doctor also helps. I mean, that helps to pick up hot wife too. But, she married me before I was a doctor, so shout out to my wife who's letting me podcast at 12 o'clock on a work night.
There you go.
1:11 a.m., bro.
Yeah. Shout out to the Turners. Shout out to the Turners. All right. Hey, and don't just. I mean, for you to do something like that, she got a gem. She got a triple word score right there, buddy. All right. She nailed it. Literally, maybe, hopefully. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That's none of my business. But we should play Scrabble, Ethan. For real.
Dude, you'd probably kill me. I'll be honest. But I got like 50 or 60 board games that we could play that I would kill you at. So we should play those instead.
Okay, perfect. Because I'll beat you. All right. So this actually might be the longest time of all time. Yeah, because I had to get in the Scrabble bag real quick. All right. J Mike, you're next.
What a treat, man. What an absolute treat to our guests. I don't even feel right saying that, to our record holders, to our legends, to our friends, to our champions, to the gentleman that decided to take the voyage and made it happen. Appreciate you guys in a major way. Obviously, shout out to Berg. Pour one out for Berg, wherever he is, probably knocked out right now. But McGriff, appreciate you, Deltron, man. Very much. Always good to be with you. Doctor, the good doctor, back in the saddle. Good to be with you as well, man. And love to see the Proverbs 31 woman on the wall back there as well. It's good stuff. And then Harvin the Martian, Hardy Har. The host with the most, the Intercontinental Champion, the Meatloaf Wildcat. Always a pleasure, man. I just love chopping it up with you. Love being able to talk with you in and out of podcasts, man. And again, just appreciate you guys so much. To the chat, Shouted you out earlier, but I will shout you out again. Mr. Crease is still in the building. He might be the last man standing. I don't know. But appreciate you guys very much. Y'all kept it lit all night between games and nonsense and fun. We hit so many topics and you all were fantastic. To everyone that's checking us out in podcast form, thank you for the opportunity to be able to spend so much doggone time in your earballs. I'm no mathematician, but that's over 180 minutes of goodness being washed over you in all directions between the surprising strength of the grip of Meatloaf Wildcat and amongst other things that took place in the tonight's episode. We're just grateful for the time. So you can find me. Oh, and I'll be wrong for not saying this, but to our first responders, to our nurses, to our teachers, to everybody who's grinding and crushing it right now, to you, Dr. Turner, even though you're not that kind of doctor, I don't care. to all of you who are having to grind through all of this right now amongst the pandemic, the nonsense, the craziness, the furloughs, the laid off, the hours being cut, all these things, man. If your head's still up and you're still above 6 feet, that's a winning day, and appreciate you for persevering through the mess. Keep it up. Please, please, please keep it up. And I know it sucks right now. It's not fun. This is a really, really trying time, but please, please, please don't quit. 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 Be encouraged. Don't quit. We will get through this. That's the goal. And we just keep pushing. And I'm thankful for people and friends like Gabe who helped me understand that life is so much bigger than our frustrations are so much bigger than our obstacles. And obviously we're here for a purpose, on purpose. And yeah, so I'm glad to be able to do it. So on Twitter, you can find me at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck. You can find the show's handle at the Open Bar Pod, and you can find the award-winning podcaster himself, genius to MC, aka Bungie, aka Yellow is the New Green, aka G Money, aka Austin Sun, aka Montana Man, aka Mr. How You, aka Mr. Gearing If You Nasty, on Twitter at FFManBun. Gabe, take us home.
Oh, gee whiz. I don't know if I can say anything else, but this was incredible. I'm so proud of everyone that was a part of this in the so-called chat. Yeah, that's right, chat. Our co-hosts, so good. So good. Yeah. I mean, I can hardly ever follow up anything that you say, J Mike, because you just say it so eloquently. And speaking of eloquent, he probably did not mention his own podcast that he's got on the side in the tuck. All right. I don't know if he's doing Daily Blitz that often anymore, but I'm sure that it'll still be around. Keep your eyes peeled. But certainly the journal, J Mike's journal. That's what's up right there. That's my vibe. All right. You can even, I mean, you could, I haven't really ever listened to podcasts more than once, but, that's one I could do more than once. Just to, I don't know, catch a vibe. It feels good. And it's real. So, shout out to you, J Mike. Love you, my guy.
Love you, man.
Shout out to you three. Two did
Dude, if Brian just rolled out of Brian, after talking so much smack, just rolled out of here before the end of Gabe's thing.
asterisk.
I want an asterisk by his name.
You got it.
Just like Burger, he gets an asterisk. You didn't shut the show off. He left. I want the record to show.
And the
I'll
record's
make the
there.
edit. I will make the edit. Don't you worry, Ethan. I got you, bro. All right. So, yeah, nothing left else for me to say really, but the openbar.storenvy.com. I'm in the process of making intros. Shout out to anyone who's allowed me that opportunity. I don't know if I've shouted out the Trade Addicts Pod intro, but I guess I'll give that one a shout out. Since we did do a bit of that intro on the pod. Woke up this morning and what do you see? Brian Haar grabbing the microphone. Yeah. Yeah. All right. But we'll have a show next week, J Mike. Yeah. Right before the draft. Should we? I don't know. Maybe we should just call it off right before the draft. We've peaked at this point. About 325. Where we're gonna hit this? Boy, howdy. We got him, son. All right. Yeah, we'll be back though. We'll be back next week. We got some. There's no way this can be touched though. So, all right. Let's do it. Let's get out of here. Cheers to the people, whether you got one or not. You can throw your fist up, the pound, a push up, all the things. We love all of you. We appreciate all of you. I guess I'll just have to say that we're going to see you. I would have given him the honor to say deuces, but he left. He deuced before the deuces. So now you are getting deuce asterisks, my guy. Da 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 da. Doses.